Traveling the Vortex.
We've joined Sarah Jane as she defends Ealing and Greater London in episode number 138. I'm Keith.
She defends the Earth, too.
And Earth. I guess.
No, I'm pretty sure she defends Earth.
The Earth.
There were 5-story arcs in this season. 6.
Sarah Jane Smith.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Defender of the Earth.
There were 6-story arcs in this season.
Hey, I'm just proud of myself that I remembered where she lives in the UK.
Ealing.
Ealing.
It's probably still spelled not at all like
Cymru.
it's spelled. Ealing's probably spelled like Cymru.
I don't think it's Welsh though.
You guys saw Brenda's picture that she posted us all, tagged us all
Yes,
on
yes,
Facebook.
That was awesome.
Every time she sees that.
Oh, by the way, I'm Shaun.
Oh, and I'm Glenn. If you don't know who we are.
If you don't know who we are, welcome to Traveling the
Exactly.
Vortex.
If you don't know who we are,
thanks
you
for
don't
listening.
Yes, you're our first time listener.
Yeah,
How are you guys?
we haven't done that in a
We
while.
haven't
We
done
should
that.
probably thank everyone for listening to us. I don't know why you guys continue to listen to us, but thank you for listening to us.
And to those gluttons who go back and listen from the beginning.
Yeah,
oh,
no kidding.
yeah, especially
Like
those
Rachel.
people.
It's the most recent one I know of. That's
Good on you,
written
Rachel.
anyways.
Good on you.
Good on you.
We're sorry.
We're very sorry. We like to feel like we've gotten better.
We're sorry.
We're still sorry. We're so sorry.
Glenn, how was your week?
It was good. I'll go first because I didn't do dang thing.
You did the least.
I really did. I mowed yesterday.
Oh,
Yay. I lost a half a pound this week.
hey, well,
Yay.
that's
I'm still going.
Still
but
progress.
That's
I think
still
I'm
progress.
getting to that plateau though. So I'm
Yeah.
going to have to change my diet around to spark my metabolism again. But the kids and I hung out. The kids started school for the first. Started school on Tuesday. Mason started kindergarten for the first time, so he's actually elementary school now.
How did he handle it?
Good. He's been ready to go to kindergarten since the day he left preschool. So all summer long. So
He's been
very excited about it, and he went and had a good time. He's had a good week. Today he was kind of mulling over not wanting to go back, but I think now it's sinking in.
the fun's worn off.
Well, yeah, and I think the long days are hitting him. I don't think
I
he
bet.
realized because
He's going full
preschool
day.
is only
Okay.
because they're 501's kindergarten is full day.
And did it all switch to that?
Yeah,
Oh, when I went, it was half day option
Yeah.
because I did half day.
when I was a kid.
But then again, that
When I
was,
went from working part-time to working full-time, it really hit me. How much that's,
So that's what Mason's dealing with. But and he's doing real good. So, which it's bittersweet because I miss both the kids because I've been hanging out with them every morning all summer.
Yeah.
And then Mason especially because even when he was in preschool, he was only there for 2.5 hours a day. So like I've had Mason every morning since he was born.
I
So
guess,
my,
I guess
just
the better
being
question
him.
is how are you handling
Yeah,
it?
well, and that was the weird thing.
I was
is,
just thinking of that because normally you ask the mother.
Right,
so
right.
are you dealing okay with the empty nest syndrome? The kids are in
Right.
school, and I was about to ask how's Holly handling it when my brain flashed that. No, actually, in this
her
case,
schedule
it's-
didn't change.
She still gets them in the evening.
That's right.
So.
Glenn is now dealing with it. So
But like I say,
how are you dealing
it's
with it?
bittersweet because it was a little sad because I thought, oh, I'm gonna miss him because hanging out with him and playing and stuff. And then that first morning was like really quiet in the house. I was like, but I got a lot of things done. And then throughout the week, I kept missing him. I kept thinking, well, we'd be doing this right now or that right now. Then on the flip side, I was like, oh, I got a lot of television watched. I've watched 23 episodes of Batman the animated series now. I finished
Which
the thick of it.
that's something you probably could have watched with Mason.
Yeah, I could have, but
Not the thick of it.
I got the thick of I finished the thick of it. Season 3. I started Skins, so I'm watching all kinds of stuff, which I probably should go find some other things to do now with my time besides veg out on the couch.
I'm impressed you don't go back to bed, honestly.
No, I don't. We walk the kids walk to school. I walk the kids to school.
Oh, they
so
don't live far.
I walk them to school, and then I have a mile route that I walk. Usually, I was walking on weekend evenings because I walk at work.
Yeah.
But now that it's getting darker earlier, I won't be able to walk at
that's
night
a good
at
point,
work.
yeah.
So I started walking in the mornings. So that's just part of my mile route. And so I go ahead and go on around the block and up around hill
That's a
and
good way
back
to do
around
it.
to my house. Yeah, so I get my walk in. And of course, by the time I get home, then I have some breakfast and
And then it's too late to go
up
back
for
to
the
bed.
day. Yeah, there was one day, Friday. I had for some reason I didn't sleep well Thursday night and was up really really late, and so Friday morning after I got home from my nap, I laid down and fell asleep for about a half hour. But no, it's cool.
We're not judging, and we're very proud of you because a half a pound lost is a half a pound lost. So 23 hours of television
Maybe a correlation.
may play
it
into
might
that
have
just a little
been.
bit.
Because you were
Might have
pretty
been.
active with the kids in the mornings, weren't you?
I mean,
Well, you'd get up and do stuff. I mean,
a little
you
bit.
take them to arts and craft, and
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, that's still sitting
still
around
sitting,
while they're
yeah.
doing arts and crafts or while they're at the library. I mean, so it's
not that different.
a little more active, but yeah,
It's like Cody-
But I'm not
Cody's-
sitting there eating while I'm watching,
Well,
which
yeah,
is what I
that's
used to
it,
do.
yeah.
I'd sit and watch television and then just munch,
Well, because
know,
you have that association with
soda.
it. that you gotta,
Yeah, exactly. But I've apparently broke that because I didn't have any problem.
That's the hardest thing
Of
for me
course,
to do.
The nice thing is that I would do my walk, then I'd come home and I'd get my breakfast ready, and then I'd go out and sit down and eat my breakfast while I watched TV, and then I had eaten. So I didn't feel
okay.
compelled
that
to,
helps.
I
That
didn't
works
feel
really
compelled
well.
to snack. And late at night when I watch TV is when I feel compelled to snack. I don't anymore, but that's when I feel compelled.
I've started snacking more at night while watching TV. I've discovered.
You don't have anything to worry about right now. Wait till your
It's good for
metabolism
me.
slows down.
I need to switch from salads to pizza rolls or something.
Yeah, there you go.
On the weight.
Put the weight on. You can have some of mine. If I could just give you some.
Just transfer like an adipose.
Like an adipose.
Yeah.
Sean,
Anyway.
did you do anything?
Yeah, I did a lot. I watched 2 movies that were
You
on my.
did a lot. Keith's going to top you.
Yeah, that's definitely
Ooh, it's going to start with Monday and not stop. Go ahead.
I watched 2 movies that I had not seen. They were on my classics to be watched list. So I got to sit down and watch Fistful of Dollars and For a Few Dollars More, which is the first time, believe it or not, for both of those.
The first two in the Men with the
I honestly don't think I've seen either one.
Phenomenal.
Yeah. they're great.
Once again, it's a case of one of those movies that you kind of hear so many people talk about it. That's like, it can't possibly be
Which
as
did
good
you
as
like better?
I'm really torn on that because everybody that I have talked to likes For a Few Dollars More better. In fact, I've had several people tell me they think the middle one is the best of the trilogy, even though other people have said The
That's
Bad
one
and
of
the
them.
Uglies. But
I'm
you're
one
one
of
of them.
those,
I don't know if it's maybe because I was getting to that kind of cutoff point where I had to leave to go to work, so maybe I kind of glazed over some of the ending as I was getting ready.
See, that's too bad.
And that's where
because
the big...
the last third or quarter of the movie is the best.
Yeah,
is
it definitely
almost,
felt
it's some
like
of the
it.
best cinema ever,
Yeah,
in my opinion.
it definitely felt like it. So I probably need to go back and watch it again where I don't have that looming clock distraction. If you ask me right now, I'd probably say the first one.
Really?
I really liked the first one. I really liked a lot about it. But I
I
loved
do
Van
too.
Cleef's character,
Yeah,
too.
well, that's
he
just
was
it.
so
When Van
good.
Cleef shows up, and then of course he'll show up again. And have you ever seen?
I've
Good,
seen
Bad,
bits and
Ugly?
pieces of it. I've never. I
He'll
own
show up
it,
again.
but
Now,
I've never watched
he's
it.
not the
so-
same character, but he'll. Show
Oh,
up
really?
again.
I kind of figured he'd be the same character.
Well, it's loosely a trilogy, isn't it? It's not literally
It's
the
very
same
loosely.
guy.
The man with no name you presume is the
It's the
same
same person,
character
but
through
you don't-
all
you
three.
don't know for
Yes,
sure.
but
Yeah.
In fact, it's very jarring that the bad guy, the guy that plays the bad guy in the first film, is the guy that plays the bad guy in the second film, but they're two different characters, and so that's a bit hard to get used to as well.
Cheech Marin shows up in all of Rodriguez's stuff, so that'd be no problem.
So that was you obviously noticed that as well, but no, it's strange that you say that because most of the people I talk to think Good, Bad, and the Ugly is the best, and then the second best is Fistful of Dollars, and then they always rank For a Few Dollars More third, and I think that's completely out of order. I think it goes For a Few Dollars More, and then Good, Bad, and the Ugly, and then Fistful of Dollars, but maybe that's because I like Van Cleef. Yeah, Van Cleef so much in both films, his performance in both of those films, and then, like I say, that truly the part of the best cinema ever is that last quarter of For a Few Dollars More.
Like I said, it was very, very good. I'm not knocking any of it on any part of any of these movies because they both so far have been just phenomenal pieces of cinema. And so ranking them, this one's good, this one's that's kind of like saying, well, I have 3 gold nuggets, but I like this one a little bit more than that. So far they've both of them been great. So
that middle one's polished a little better.
A little bit
A
shinier.
little shiny.
I'm really looking forward to getting into Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. I've got almost all my stuff lined up for school, including my internship.
Oh, so you are going to do it?
I am going to do it.
What are you doing?
I guess we're not going to see Shaun aside from
I'll
podcasting.
I'll see you in 3 months, basically, from starting tomorrow.
I don't see him besides podcasting anyway.
Well, you don't really
I see him on Twitter and
sometimes Friday night.
Friday
if you
night.
come over.
Sometimes Friday night.
I haven't been over for a while though, but it's been real convenient to tweet from home. Sorry,
I don't
guys.
blame. I don't blame. That's kind of the
The beer
point.
in my fridge, as
That's kind
you
of
said last
that's
week.
kind of the point of it. Is join us online. You don't have to come to my house.
That's true. We were all at our own houses this week,
I would love to invite everybody who listens over to my house for Friday Night Who.
and we'd still all tweet.
And we'd
would.
all sit in the same room and tweet.
In fact, even when we're in the same room, a lot of times we're tweeting to each other. So
It's just weird. But no, the internship's going to be, I will be teaming up with I forget the name of it, the Wellness Fitness Network. I should probably learn that.
Oh, right.
And
You did tell me about this, but the listeners don't.
Well, we'll be shooting exercise videos, basically. Mm-hmm. But they're designed to be ones that for people who work in an office setting and you're kind of at your computer, at your desk, in a cubicle for 8 or 9 hours a day, that this will be something that you can tune into this particular webcast that they'll put on and spend 5 minutes and do some sort of exercise. And it won't be anything huge like rolling around on the floor, but it'll still be something that you can, stretch at your desk and,
do in your chair,
work the kinks out and that kind of stuff. Simple exercises, but they're still supposed to be effective in getting muscles loosened up and things of that nature. So I'll be actually shooting and editing those videos before they go online sometime next year.
I just imagine myself booting this website up at work and getting weird looks from Keith, who looks right across at me from his cubicle.
See him exercising and not knowing what he's doing. All right, back to the
There with
five.
his headphones
Now you'll know, though.
Yeah, that's true.
You'll have to explain it to our cubicle mates.
Yeah. Don't mind him. And then Jared will feel even more guilty.
More guilty because Jared's already guilty that I walk every night at work, a mile. And so, in fact, he was pretty happy when he came back the other night, and I was sitting at my desk, and he said
No.
he didn't see me because I walked to the back of the property, and then I walk around to the front. I was at the back of the property, and he didn't see
When
me.
he pulled in
And
for dinner.
When he pulled in, and then he got out of the car, he saw me walking. When I got in, he said, yeah. I said, darn it, I pulled in and I didn't see you, and I thought, oh, good, he gave that up. I don't have to feel bad anymore. And then I saw you.
And then he followed it up with, congratulations on continuing with it.
Yeah.
Good job with it.
Now, well, I understand they have a contract. I'm not sure who it's through. I don't know if it's the state or not, but it'll be kind of one of those things where the let's say it's the state that they'll assign, okay, all of the people in these 3 office buildings are Group A.
Oh, is that part of the weight loss challenge?
It might be. But then Group A
But
will
that
actually...
ended.
That
They're
ended.
continuing,
Yeah, that- well,
they're
they're
continuing the
continuing on,
initiative.
Yeah, the initiative goes on, but the challenge is
Yes.
Like I said, these won't actually be up until next year.
So it
Don't
might be
put me on-
it might be up for next year.
Don't put me on
They'll probably
deadline.
do it again.
They'll be up next year. So everybody in Group A will tune into the website at 10:30. That's their kind of assigned workout break time. And so they'll all watch that episode that airs at that time.
But anybody can watch it.
Oh, yeah, anybody can watch them. Sure. But I met the agents that are all going to be part of this, and they seem like
How many are you doing?
as of right now, I'm slated to do 15 of the 30.
Oh, okay.
Oh, nice.
Oh, 30.
There's 30 total.
Because at one time, the gal that was doing them was going to do like 119 or something.
Yeah,
like that.
Jerry and I, when Jerry first called me about it, and she says, I want you, are you
That
interested?
is one heck of an internship.
I said, yeah. She says, well, Chris,
That's a full-time job in and of itself.
well, she said Chris wants 90 episodes, and she says I had to talk her down
90,
because
that's what it is.
I don't think she conceptualizes this isn't how this works, And we had this talk. It was, 5 minutes. This little 5-minute exercise video. She says, how long do you think that's going to take to put together? And she goes, half an hour? It's only 5 minutes long. And Jerry was like, no.
It'll take a half an hour of editing, maybe.
No. It'll
Maybe
take,
if you get really fast at it. That's why I said maybe.
for a 5-minute video, it'd take maybe a half hour of shooting.
Yes.
Yeah.
That I can see.
that.
Editing was, that's on the back end. But she was trying to impress upon her that, the next time you sit down and watch a television commercial, count how many edits there are and how many scene changes and how many of this. And she finally got her to admit that 30-second TV commercial probably takes about 3 hours to put together. So we're improving, and we're getting a little bit better at how this works. But so, yeah, we're settling for 15 apiece right now. But so I got all that worked out, and then I worked a lot. We had an inventory tonight, counted all of our comic books in the store, which was a huge undertaking.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
And I did something else, but we'll hold on to that news for later.
Okay.
Well, you can go ahead and mention what you did.
I went to Crypticon.
We'll go into detail about it
I'll
later.
go into detail later. But yeah, I went to Crypticon, which is a horror convention in Kansas City.
Doug Jones was not Doug Jones. Doug Jones was there.
Doug Jones was there.
Tony Curran was originally slated to be there,
was
but he
supposed
had
to
to
be there.
cancel.
He
Should have been a
cancel.
Doctor Who guest.
Yeah,
Unfortunately.
unfortunately.
I thought Margot Kidder had canceled for some reason.
She canceled Con X.
That's what it was. It was
Yes.
Con X. Okay, I knew that.
Because you were going to go to Con X, and then she canceled.
She
and
canceled, and
yeah.
I wasn't all excited about it anymore.
Yeah, no, the two
and then forgot she was a CryptoCon already gone over today.
The two Tonys actually wound up canceling because they had Tony Curran
There's
and they
actually
had
three
Tony
Tonys
Todd.
there.
Was there a third? Oh, Tony Moran.
Yeah, Tony Moran,
Yeah.
the guy who plays Jason, I believe.
But
Yes.
yeah, Tony Todd had to cancel too for work-related commitments. And then Ernie Hudson, who had a work-related commitment come up and was not there today, but was there Friday and Saturday.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
But more on that later.
Yeah, more on that later. So, Keith, you didn't do anything, right?
Tell me
Yeah.
all about your week.
Monday was my actual birthday, and so I came home, and Sarah gave me a couple of gifts of The Last of Us video game, and
Ooh, I've heard nothing but good things about that.
supposedly the Citizen Kane of video games.
I've not heard that, but okay.
That's what I've heard. Glenn looks like he doesn't know what I'm talking about.
I have no idea.
Okay.
What
It's a
I saw
it's-
the picture.
It's a
of what it is.
PlayStation game.
Yeah.
It's a zombie kind of thing, isn't it?
It's kind of.
Kind of a...
They're not like they're more like Resident Evil zombies than zombies.
Okay.
And the way Will Wheaton tweeted it was normal zombie video game, 100 zombies, no problem. Last of Us, one clicker. Oh my god!
Okay.
So, I don't know. I haven't started it yet. So,
Well, Matt, my boss, started it, and because we were talking about how far behind we are, and he said, I got to play 15. He says, I got to play 15 minutes of Last of Us this week. I finally cracked the seal on it and popped
I'm
it in.
really looking forward to playing
And he
it.
said, it was probably the greatest 15 minutes I've ever spent doing anything in my life.
I've heard it's the most cinematic video game you've
Yeah,
ever played.
and he said, I can't wait to get back into it. It'll be 2 or 3 months before I can pick up that controller again. But
But she also got me Dirk Gently, the DVDs.
I saw the tweet
Yeah.
on that.
And
Such a good show.
Unfortunately,
Shaun
only one season.
brought me back an autograph from...
Oh, he's already got it in frame.
All right, I had an extra frame, an autograph from CryptoCon of Doug Jones, which I Instagram that. And my stack of books continue to grow, as my sister got me book 3 and 4 of Game of Thrones.
I saw
See,
that.
I was
So
going
I
to
have
get you those.
1 and 2. I just need 5 now.
I literally, I was at Barnes & Noble, and I was going to buy you 3 and 4, and then I thought about it, and was like, I don't know if I should do that for him or not, and I'm glad now that I didn't.
In
you
for a
started
penny,
the
in for a
first book
pound.
yet?
Not yet. I'm still finishing Odd Thomas.
Let me know when you're ready. I went ahead and bought the first book.
Oh,
so,
did you?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll start it
Are we
together.
going to do a read-along?
Sure. You
Thanks
want to join us?
thanks for including me in the...
We'll pick
in the-
one up. Apparently, you got time. He's still reading.
I'm
Odd
still
Thomas.
finishing Odd Thomas. I'm going to really knuckle down on Odd Thomas, though. 'Cause I'm really
Don't
enjoying
hurry
it.
on my account.
I don't have anything reading now.
I started the
finished
prologue,
1984, so
but
I don't get to read when I'm in school.
yeah.
Well, let me rephrase. I don't get to read for leisure while I'm in school.
pleasure.
Yeah.
And looking at these books, yeah, they totally split season 3 into book 3 into 2 seasons.
Okay.
It's almost 1,000 pages long. Is how long this thing is, which is I normally don't
What have I
read.
gotten into?
I don't know. I normally don't read those books, and we are in for. I read the Dust Jacket for 4. We are in for a treat for season 3. Just from what happens from the spoilers from the Dust Jacket of season 4.
My plan is to read Game of Thrones and then start season 1, and then read.
I plan on.
What was the second book?
It's A Clash of Kings.
Clash of Kings, and then watch season 2.
Well, and then you can read A Storm of Swords, and then maybe watch season 3 and 4.
Is that
Oh,
the
okay.
surprise we have to look forward to?
Yeah, actually it is.
Really?
Yeah. Not literally that, but yes.
I love that. It's the greatest mashup ever. Okay.
I plan on taking a break in between each book because I think
Sorry.
it might just be too much all in ones.
Yeah.
And I will get to it in a minute, but there's another book I'm wanting to read soon too.
You should read the first Game of Thrones. And
That's
then
what I'm gonna do. I'm
take a
gonna-
break, read something light like Mein Kampf or
War and Peace.
War and Peace.
I saw a graph that said we call Whovians, or we call Doctor Who fans Whovians, Harry Potter fans Potterheads, one other ones. What should we call Game of Thrones fans? And the comment was masochists. Very accurate. And then my week was pretty slow. I caught up on Sarah Jane Adventures, and then Thursday night got a call that my mom broke her wrist. And so I went down to the hospital, and yep, she definitely broke it. She was leaving my cousin's apartment with her dog, Max. Max apparently saw something.
What is it with dogs?
That's what I told him. That's what I told him.
Max
Moms
apparently
and
saw
dogs.
something. The leash was a little too far out, I guess, and pulled her and bam onto the ground. Didn't catch herself. Broke her left arm. Didn't shatter. She fractured her radius in her left arm. And so Thursday night was with her in the hospital, and then, of course, my parents are divorced, so she, in order to not stay at the hospital, in order to go home, somebody had to go home and stay with her for 24 hours. And so Sarah and I went home with her and slept on our couch, which was why I was so exhausted at Friday night. Went to work for like 4 hours Friday, and then went back home to help take care of her some more, and then crashed Friday after Friday Night Who. She's doing better. She goes to get cast on Tuesday. Unfortunately, that's as soon as they could get her in.
Oh, wow. Oh.
He's showing pictures.
I'm showing pictures to Shaun now, because Glenn already saw them.
And we won't put these in the show notes, because you don't want to see this.
I teased my mom that I was going to post them to Facebook. And then I also teased her that you just can't stay away from the hospital this time of year.
Oh, she was in the hospital.
I didn't even think of that.
Wow.
I didn't think of that till I was driving down there.
Wow. That's funny.
That's the bad image of her.
I'll tell you both. I called my mom this weekend for other things, but I did tell her, I said, I'm very, very glad at this point now that you don't have a dog. Both of you now have had mothers with broken injuries because of dogs.
So we have an official Traveling the Vortex public service announcement. All of you right now, go to your moms and get rid of their dogs.
Wait.
Adopt your mom's dog
from her. Yes, yeah, that's probably better. Don't take a hit out on your mom's dog. Don't go dispose of the dog in nefarious ways. Find it a good home.
These are dangerous animals that must be destroyed. It's a nefarious
opinions.
Nefarious
not necessarily
plot.
that Traveling the Vortex.
That Twilight bark. You think that was all about, hey, help us find the Dalmatian puppies? No. Twilight bark's all about, did she knock her over? Yeah.
But she's doing a lot better.
Seriously, though, I mean, we talk a lot about serendipity. And so this is one of those things that could go that way, too.
So I told my mother, next year, just get sick. She didn't have to stay overnight in the hospital. That's progress.
Yeah, that is progress.
But she's doing a lot better. She plans on going to work on Monday. I don't think that's a smart idea, but she's going to do it. Apparently, today she did a little test driving around the neighborhood because, luckily she's right-handed, so driving isn't as big of an issue because she has a sling and it's in a split.
Because the left one that she fell on.
Yeah, because it's the left one that she broke. She's barely taking any pain meds today and been doing pretty good, so it seems to be pretty manageable, and hopefully once she gets that cast on, she'll be pretty mobile and good to go. I'm pushing for her to get a waterproof cast, only because...
So she can swim?
Just so it's less of a hassle for her.
Oh. She can get in the shower.
Because she lives alone,
right.
She doesn't have a dishwasher, so she hands washes all of her dishes,
Gotcha.
and so it'd just be easier for her.
Yeah, because I remember when I was a kid, I broke my arm. The worst thing was taking showers because you had to wrap that thing in plastic. You had to hold it outside.
Trash bag.
Yeah.
My mom's friend Mark broke his arm not too long ago, and apparently he grew up on a cattle farm. So they had very long gloves.
Oh.
Insemination gloves. Yeah. I was trying to think of the proper word for it.
Very long gloves was probably okay.
So she used that when she took a bath, and it worked really well. The only downside is she couldn't get her other arm because she can't grab anything because of the gloves and the splints. And then today was our 1-year anniversary.
Yay!
Yeah.
Good news again.
Good news again. Thank you.
Good news, everyone.
We took the day and went to Manhattan. We go east often. We never go out of town west. So we decided...
There's nothing out there.
Well, there's the Sunset Zoo. in Manhattan, which has...
I'm not knocking Manhattan. I just meant West in general.
West in general, there's not. And going west, we remember...
Shaun are not necessarily that going the Vortex.
I mean, really, what was the
We're gonna keep-
last thing that was really important out west? Chrissy. That's about it.
Galley.
No, that's in the east. Galley's far enough in the west that it's past the point where the sun sets. So it's east.
We went to Manhattan
East
to
LA.
the Sunset Zoo, where they have I want to say it's...
Manhattan, Kansas.
Manhattan,
by the way.
Kansas.
For anybody that's confused, we have Manhattan
We've
in
mentioned
Kansas.
Manhattan, Kansas before, because
The
that's one
Little
of
Apple.
the two left Hastings.
That's right. I just didn't want to confuse any overseas listeners.
Manhattan, Kansas.
Familiar that there's
where the
okay.
National Agro-Bio and Defense Facility is moving. You probably heard news about that. Probably not.
Not if they live overseas.
But I went to Manhattan and the Sunset Zoo because we've been meaning to get over there. They have a baby chimp. And it's so adorable. Really. The zoo is very nice. It's small. The chimps, the Australian section where they have wallabies, and the hyenas are really the only reasons to go. The rest of it, you can see them elsewhere. But the chimps are really cool. The picture I posted wasn't the baby. It was an adolescent they had, which was very active. So that was very cool to see. Then we went and had lunch. Stopped at Hastings. Didn't pick up anything. They did have the first of the new wave of the Doctor Who figures.
Oh.
I'm very disappointed by them. They're the size of a G.I. Joe. Yeah, I kind of
That's a
held
3
out.
3/4 inch.
Yeah, I kind of held out hope that even though they said it was going to be that, they were going to look bigger, going to look better, but I'm not impressed. I'm really not.
Yeah, but now I play with them with my Star Wars figures in there.
Yeah,
To scale.
Which means we can have all the Star Wars figures be those strange aliens and military type
that's
planets
true.
that Dr. lands on, and we can still incorporate the G.I. Joe stuff as unit.
That's a,
Ding, ding, ding.
as a kid, that would be perfect.
Win-win. What's wrong with these sizes, Keith?
As a collector, I'm
They
not.
won't set up on your shelf. They'll be
Well-
smaller now.
The only good thing is they come with the stand.
Oh, nice.
They come with a stand exactly like the minifigs. It's that same DW stand, which is cool.
Hey, side note, if the guy who invented
Off to the side.
the idea of the hole and the peg for the action figures,
Brilliant.
thumbs up, guy.
That guy's been around since the 1970s at
I know,
least,
I
because
know.
all of my Star Wars figures have
I
been
know,
old. Oh,
I
okay.
know, I know. But as a kid,
He's just not been properly recognized.
he's not.
hasn't.
He's not been
He
very-
really
he
hasn't.
deserves one of those Bud Light commercials.
Mr.
Mr.
Hole in the foot
Hole in the Foot Peg guy.
Except for the guys who make it so they don't quite line up properly. Because my Hurley figure broke because it didn't quite line up properly.
Well, but still, I mean, it's compared to having an action figure
Yeah,
that
but
just stands there.
we can't fault the inventor for that.
That's
No,
true.
no,
That's
that's
true.
not-
That's McFarlane's fault.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
He modified
Well,
it.
I wouldn't say Todd McFarlane was directly responsible for that.
He designed the figures.
But his company
He designed all the
certainly
figures.
Todd
he personally
Todd
extracted each one.
McFarlane's in there with a press. And doing the,
in his garage.
no, I remember.
Right
I
next
don't
to
remember
his-
what they were.
Comic book printing machine.
I don't remember what they were, but there was a line of figures that actually came after Star Wars that didn't have the foot in the peg hole thing.
There was a lot. It went yes and no, because I don't know that any other manufacturer thought it was going to catch on.
Yeah. The
But
Joes
certainly
did,
Kenner
but of course there were
and,
also
Joes did.
Hasbro.
The Tron figures
Kenner
that I
did.
had did.
Maybe it was He-Man. Maybe the He-Man
No,
figures
He-Man
did.
did not.
I don't-
But
yeah,
He-Man
Of course,
were
the
larger
He-Mans were
figures.
larger and bigger and heavier
They
anyway.
can kind of stand on their own.
But I don't remember what it was.
Really,
but there
'cause
was
they were
Depending on
top
He-Man.
heavy. 'Cause they were like bulky up top.
I never
and
tried
They had
them.
these smaller legs. And
yeah.
The only He-Man figure I ever had was a bald guy that I pretended... I don't know who he was. I just pretended he was the bald dude from the Ninja Turtles movie.
Ah. Okay.
Kid logic.
Kid logic.
I was
They
more
didn't make an action figure of that guy.
I was more flabbergasted by the time differential that were
yeah.
the Ninja Turtle movie. 89, yeah.
You always done with action figures then.
That was the height of
wasn't,
mine. You're still
Well,
not done with action figures, Glenn.
Actually, I was done. No, I was done with action figures.
For a long time?
Yeah. I had finished collecting Star Wars in 86, I think was that last line that came out before they stopped making those. And
Have you
I
seen
was
the
done.
new ones?
Yeah, yeah.
It's actually got the silver old school Kenner with a
You're not talking
Star
about
Trek
the
background.
black, though. You're talking the old school.
Well, it looks like
the classic.
Yeah, it looks like
they
the
had
old
the
school.
red
Classic
banner
collection.
border on them.
It's
too,
still
and-
silver with Star Wars around it, but then it's got the red print for whatever
Yeah.
movie that
Yeah.
particular figure's from. It's like, oh, these are cool.
But yeah, they were done. I was collecting comics at that time. So.
Oh.
Sorry, side note. Anyway,
Side
so
note.
the Doctor Who figures are disappointing
Well,
to
a
you.
little
Side note,
Yes.
side note there even. So.
And then we went, because we were just had nowhere to be and we had plenty of time, we stopped by the Oz Museum in Wamego.
Oh, how was that?
It's pretty good.
Wizard
Have you been
of Oz.
before?
Yeah, I've been
It's
before.
called the Oz Museum.
It's
but
called it's the Wizard of Oz.
Wait, there's no Aussie there?
There's no Ozzy.
Oh,
And no half-eaten bats.
I don't know if
No
I want to go now.
Australia.
I've been before,
No
but it was-
Doctor Oz.
No doctor.
No doubt. Well, that's a good thing. I wouldn't
Or
go to
his
it.
daughter,
I wouldn't go to a Dr. Oz museum.
Or his daughter? What's his daughter?
Daphne Oz. She's
Daphne
on the ABC show with Clinton Kelly, and it's on in the afternoon. I can't think of it now. I think
The Doctors?
no, it's like a cuisine show. It's
The
got
Choop?
yeah, the Chew. That's what she's on, and she's an author apparently too.
Oh.
I didn't know this until
With Mario
Mario Batali
Batali. Yeah.
and the bald Iron Chef
The Bald. Yeah.
Michael Simon.
Yes.
I know too much about this stuff.
It scares me a little bit that you know this much about
I was
this.
a big Food Network junkie for a while. And I didn't know about the Chew. It didn't start until I was working. And when I come into work, two big TVs up on the wall in front of me. One of them is the Chew, the last half hour. So I look up, and it's on TV.
Okay, I suppose I can give you that.
Yeah. I've never actually watched it. I think it looks like it's to be a fun show
I've
to
seen
watch.
it when I've been home or off from work.
It's
not
one
bad.
of those daytime shows that I wouldn't mind watching. They look cheesy.
It's kind of like The View, but with food. It's basically what it reminds me
What's
of.
the view?
well, and men.
Yeah, well, they're men too. Yeah, it's true. There's not.
What are men?
But the Oz Museum.
'Cause apparently there aren't any around the table.
Hey, watch
Oh.
it there. Wow.
You're talking to a foodie and a wannabe chef, so the Oz Museum's cool.
But see, that's just it. I get the fascination with Alton Brown because Alton Brown is food
and really cool
and
science.
cool and science. And
But I watched other shows on
But-
Food Network.
Chew. Okay.
I haven't watched it. I just
Okay.
Alton Brown was on the Chew once. How about that?
Having not seen the
So you're
Chew,
gonna
that
stop by the Oz Museum and
that actually
Wamego.
cheapens Alton a little bit, in my opinion. But
His show ended. He has to make money somehow.
you just write another book, you'll buy it.
It's true. He is coming back to Kansas City.
Oh, is he?
Yeah. I don't know what for.
He likes Kansas City.
Apparently.
He likes barbecue.
He does like barbecue.
He does like
He's a big
barbecue.
barbecue fan. If you haven't been, right?
I have not been
You've
to the Oz Museum.
The Oz Museum, yes.
Yeah.
But it's been a couple of years.
I don't know if it's quite worth the $7, but it's really cool.
We thought the same thing.
It's got a lot of neat memorabilia, and what's really neat about it is all the old books they have of the series, and all the collectibles they have. Unfortunately,
Why didn't I ask that? Why didn't I ask Eric Schauner? Have you been to the Oz Museum? That's way better
it's
question.
Kansas
than-
based too,
Eh, never mind.
Do you like
the Wizard of Oz?
and they've got really cool dioramas. I guess is what you'd call them.
They're large, full scale.
Full scale dioramas. So, like, this is one of them. It's each of the main characters has their own.
Oh, wow, that's very cool.
Basically walks you through the movie.
Yeah, and you go through and you can sit in the wizard's chair.
My favorite part was the collections of stuff. Like
Yeah.
at the beginning, there's the books and
the
everything,
books,
and at the
and then all
end,
the-
there's like memorabilia.
Now, have
Well,
they-
and on the way through, there's a lot of toys and stuff that they made, like the Barbies and some of the older
Right.
stuff.
Yeah.
And
now, have they updated it all for...
not with
Oz the Great.
Oz the Great and
Powerful.
Powerful,
It's
but
all-
they do have some Wicked stuff and some signed Wicked stuff,
Oh.
which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
The only downside of
And you guys have not been before this trip?
she has not. I have been to cover it.
Okay.
So we did a story on it once when I was working.
Yeah, not the
elsewhere.
same.
But it's completely different without a lens in front of me. The only downside of it, from what I could tell from looking, there's replicas but there's no actual movie memorabilia. That's the only
No,
downside.
there's plenty of movie memorabilia. There's no actual movie props.
Yes, that's
or
what I mean. Yeah.
items.
Okay,
Yeah.
there's posters and stuff, but there's no actual
I got it.
production memorabilia.
Yeah.
There's replicas of it.
Which the Oz Museum Dorothy's house in Liberal, Kansas, which was
Do
the
they actually have
first one,
something?
actually has the house model that was used.
Oh, the
for
big 3-foot one.
Yeah, flying.
And they have a really cool miniaturized replica of what they made the tornado out of. Muslin and stuff. So that's pretty cool.
Which still, hands down, is the most scariest tornado ever committed to film.
And they have a great gift shop.
I would agree.
Oh, it's terrible.
And they have all the Marvel, like in the book section, they have all the books in order, various printings, including the graphic novels.
Cool.
So I thought that was very cool. Didn't pick anything up.
I'm ready for the third one if you go back. So.
Oh, okay. And they have a big giant Tin Man in the lobby, signed by Baum's grandson, I believe.
I think you're right.
Yeah, Frank Baum the Third or something. So that's pretty cool.
That's real cool.
Then we also
It's one of those places that's kind of on the list. I just haven't got to
Yeah,
yet.
it's totally worth a stop.
That's neat. I'm with you, and I'm not sure it's worth $7, but it's neat.
If it weren't that much. Oh, and they also have you could literally spend 2 hours in there because they have the movie on a loop in a theater in there, so you can sit down and watch the movie and then continue with the.
Yeah, that was kind of lame.
It's
So you
it's
could
the movie on a
wait,
loop.
The theater.
You could
It's kind of a
literally
neat concept,
spend.
but when I was there, it was this little tiny screen.
Oh,
at the
it's
front.
gotten bigger.
Is it? Okay,
Yeah.
well that's
It's-
good.
you could- wait a
it's
minute.
bigger than my TV.
Oh, see, it was smaller than your
Yeah,
TV.
yeah,
when
they've
I was there
upgraded
last
that
time.
then at
Okay,
least.
good.
So you could literally spend 2 hours in here by sitting down and watching the movie in its entirety, and then
Well-
continuing with the tour and being done in 2 hours.
The entire thing takes. We probably went through it in about a half hour.
Okay.
We didn't read absolutely everything, but it's not huge.
Okay.
No, it's not. Even.
And then we continued down the road to Alma, because Sarah had never been to the Alma Creamery. Unfortunately, it was closed, but there was a nice guy that was there who was getting stuff ready for the next day, and he let us in to buy some cheese curds.
We have a creamery in Alma?
Oh, you've never had Alma cheese?
You ever had Alma cheese?
I've never had Alma
Okay,
cheese.
Are
hold
you
on.
kidding me?
No.
Oh my god!
I've been to Alma. I didn't know there was a creamery
Yeah,
there.
It's kinda
it's
tucked
huge.
away.
In fact, it's the Alma cheese is sold nationwide.
Really?
Yeah. You've never heard of Alma cheese?
I've never... Seriously,
Wow.
I kid you not. The only thing I know about Alma is I had a friend who moved to Alma, and I had to play against him in basketball in 8th grade. He was my best friend in 7th grade, and then I had to play against him in basketball in 8th grade. That's about it.
Wow.
I know Alma's about half an hour
Yeah, they've got
west,
a pretty famous creamery. In
which
fact,
kind of falls into that. There's nothing out here.
But it almost closed like 8 years ago or something like that.
Are you
Somebody
sure?
came in
This
and
is
bought
like
it.
special
Rescued it.
cheese that you're getting into. I
You
don't
can
want
go
to...
to Dylan's
you can get
and
'em
buy
at
this
Dylan's.
cheese. It's just different when you go, get it at the actual creamery.
Sarah calls it squeaky cheese.
Squeaky cheese. Why? Why squeaky cheese?
Because sometimes when you bite into it, it makes you squeak.
Oh, okay. We're eating cheese curds now on the show.
That's pretty good cheese.
Isn't that
It's
good?
real good cheese. I love cheese curds too. Gosh, I love cheese curds. They're like they're all the goodness of the cheese that obviously comes to the top that they but they're so good.
Hold on, I'm coming.
That's an impressive bit of cheese there.
Alma creamery.
Alma. Is it Alma or Alma?
Alma.
Alma. Depends
Some
on
people
what
say
side of the state
Alma,
you're from.
but yeah, it's Alma.
You can even get it at Walmart.
Really?
Yeah, it's up in the fancy cheese section.
Oh,
By
I don't
the
shop
deli.
the fancy cheese
It's,
section.
it's not
That's
it's not
probably why I
back with
don't
the
see it.
craft.
Yeah, no, I craft
They
is
had one I
outside
was
my
really
price
tempted to buy,
range.
but they didn't have any samples because they were closed. Bacon Jack.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Really good.
Well, anything with bacon is automatically better.
Bacon Jack.
Then we continued down the road and stopped at a little town that has a bunch of antique shops, which was pretty cool. One place had a
Paxico. You gotta say the name.
Paxico is named. That's all that's there.
I'm sure nobody
Nobody cares.
listening to this knows, but
Let's show some love for our neighbors.
There was one shop we went into.
I
had
like
a
Paxico. I think it's
whole
cute.
bunch of signed first edition books, which was really cool and really tempting, including like Prey by Michael Crichton, which, considering he's no longer with us, is like $60. They had a couple Stephen Kings,
Oh.
but We weren't that impressed by Paxico, but we're not big antiquers.
I think it's cute.
It's cute,
and
but
I like antique stores. I can spend hours in antique stores. So.
Half the stores were closed.
Yeah, it's Sunday afternoons. Kind
And
of stuff.
one of the ones we went into, I own one of the books that just came out 6 years ago. They had it on for sale.
Mm-hmm.
It was a Star Wars book, but I always have a problem when I go into an antique store and find something I picked up a couple years ago new. That's just me.
Not quite an antique.
Yeah.
That's speculative buying there. You don't fool me.
And then we came home and had dinner. And for our anniversary, Sarah got me High Fidelity and pre-ordered Kenobi, the new book coming out for Star Wars.
Ooh.
Yeah, so that's my paper since 1 year's paper. I got her a crochet book, Love Actually on Blu-ray, and because she'd been talking about it, what?
That's not paper. Oh, the crochet book.
Crochet book is paper.
I was going.
I started with the
That's
paper
not
one.
Plastic.
And it was only $5 at Target, so I picked up When Harry Met Sally on Blu-ray because she was talking about that because she's going to be having surgery soon, and that was one of the ones she wanted to kind of watch while she was sick. And the Precious Moments 1 year anniversary figure that she really wanted. So apparently I did good.
We did.
She Facebook.
Yeah, she Instagrammed
Or
it.
Instagrammed it. Yeah.
She doesn't Instagram very often. And then we watched When Harry Met Sally tonight, which I apparently had never seen.
Really?
I knew the iconic scene in the diner and the speech he gives her at the end, but that was it. I really enjoyed it.
It's a good movie.
One of my all-time favorites.
I wouldn't go that high, but it's a good movie.
I think I just... This also separates the age difference. This came out the same year as Ninja Turtles.
It did, yes.
I was much more interested in Ninja Turtles when it came out than this, and I always just wrote it off as a romantic comedy.
See, I was discovering Harry Connick Jr., and I knew he had done the soundtrack.
The soundtrack is phenomenal.
And so I gravitated to it because of that, and then absolutely fell in love with the movie. So.
I like Ninja Turtles better. It's a fine film. It's a good
I
movie.
really like the
Yeah,
Billy
but I'm a
Crystal in it.
whole year older than you, so I matured. So
That may all make all the difference.
Honestly, what I liked about it
not even quite a whole year.
is it. I do think it is a bit their relationship before it becomes the true romantic comedy is very realistic. I felt
Yeah, I think so.
very true to life of how friends who are male and female who are attracted to each other act. I mean, it was painfully obvious from the entire movie that they were going to get together.
That's why men and women can't be
Apparently,
friends.
there's only one romantic
Maybe just
comedy
friends.
that's ever surprised me. 500 Days of Summer.
Yeah.
Even as brilliant, and I consider Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind a romantic comedy. Maybe more drama, but it's that vein. And as brilliant as that is, and how bendy that is, it still reverts back to type at the end. And High Fidelity, which I absolutely love, reverts to type at the end.
And Punch Drunk Love, which tries to be that kind of film and reverts to
Yeah, exactly.
itself at the
Which
end.
I didn't like Punch Drunk Love because it was too out there for the rest of it.
And Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I
not.
said.
I still need to
Well-
finish that one someday.
It could have been age too.
Well, yeah.
That was what I did this week. That
Maybe I
long
don't need to
rambling.
finish it. You said it reverts to type at the end. Maybe
No,
I'll
but
need to
it's
finish
totally worth it. It's totally worth it. It's so good.
I got about halfway through it, and
It might just be me, and it might just hit me at the perfect time in my life.
see, I think that was the problem. I was going through an odd spell when I watched that one, and it didn't hit me very well at all. And I kind of got to that point where I was like, I'm done with this because
There is a point
I can
when
sit in the dark and feel like this. I
Yeah,
don't need a movie to be.
there is that midpoint to it where it feels like there's no hope.
Yeah.
But then once you get past that, it goes the other way. One of the most beautiful movies I've ever seen.
You know
I
about
still
that,
say
don't you?
that. Charlie Kaufman.
Charlie Kaufman.
Oh, yeah. Shortly after that, well, I think I'd seen Being John Malkovich, and then I saw Eternal Sunshine, went back to adaptation, watched Confessions of a Dangerous Mind because he adapted
I
that.
love that one.
And just went on a tear. Wasn't that impressed by Syndicate in New York?
That one I haven't seen.
I didn't like adaptation.
I think it's the weakest stuff is.
Yeah.
I've actually wanted to sell it before. And
Adaptation?
I have a weird used copy, so nobody will buy it.
Here's the deal. Adaptation, as long as it's dealing with the adaptation, is genius. And it's phenomenal. Once it takes that weird left turn into dealing with the actual flower and the stuff down in Florida, it's like, when did this become Deliverance? Because
The ironic thing is that's what
the story's actually
I know.
about.
That's the
because I went and looked at the book that it's based off of, and I'm like, how did this work? And
Yeah, I
I'm
know.
so tempted to try to read it because there for a while I did like it a lot, and then
Well, it's because
as I
somebody
liked
brought
it,
the
went
book
later.
to him and said, adapt this, and he tried, and he couldn't, so he did what he did.
Which is what's part of what's so charming about the
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah, no, I love the whole...
Well, it's
you
so
know.
tragic that his brother died. Oh, wait.
The movie's dedicated to him. Yeah.
There for a while I was a huge Charlie Kaufman fan. It wasn't until Syndicate that I kind of was like, yeah, you didn't do it, Charlie. I think you can't capture magic anymore. And I don't think he's done anything since then. I could be wrong.
He's lying in wait.
Oh, I'm just waiting for him to... Apparently,
He's going to spring one on you.
well, there's a Spike Jonze coming out that's supposed to be back to more like Spike Jonze.
That's what we need. We need Charlie Kaufman to write something that Spike Jonze
It's
directs.
Her is what it's called.
Yeah.
Have you heard that?
I've
Heard of that one?
I've heard about her.
All right, we've gone down this path again, so did you do anything else?
That's it.
Okay.
All right.
I'm done.
Let's move on to news.
First bit of news.
Doctor Who is still not on.
Yeah,
But there was some new stuff discovered.
there was.
Not episodes. Don't get too
Well,
excited.
maybe.
Yeah,
We're not discussing that one.
Not yet.
But
could be. Maybe.
a TV interview with William Hartnell dating back from 1967 has been unearthed and will feature on the DVD release of The 10th Planet. It runs for 3 minutes and 16 seconds, and it's the only known on-screen interview with Hartnell to exist. So I think that is really cool.
That is way cool.
And David Bradley was shown the footage as part of his preparation for playing the role of Hartnell
Really?
for Adventure in Time and Space. And it has a Region 2 date, but not a Region 1 date for... The interview aired Tuesday, January 17th. It was conducted by Roger Mills for Points West, the BBC regional news show, and was held in the dressing room of the Gaumont Theatre in Taunton. I'm probably butchering those. Where Hartnell was appearing in the panto Puss in Boots, less than 3 months after last being seen in Doctor Who. So this is a post-Who interview. Am I right?
What year
So
was
his time-
67?
67.
Yeah.
So his
Well,
time
it'd
as
been
the
post
Doctor.
his time.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Well, obviously it's not post-Who. Who's still on?
Just clarifying.
From beyond the grave.
And in the future.
Welcome to the world of tomorrow. So there's that.
So there's that. To look for. I'm looking forward to seeing this.
I am too. I think it's very cool.
It's very rare that we discover new stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not as cool as episodes, but
Well,
it's,
no,
yeah.
but it's the next best
It's the
thing.
next best thing. That is exactly it.
Well, speaking of episodes, the missing episode rumor has gained a little traction again. Recently on Castbourse,
Can I play the merry-go-round music?
the Doctor Who fan site. I loved Chrissy's post. How do I get off this roller coaster? As just for some history, Bleeding Cool News had ran the story originally that said that some episodes had been found and they were en route to the BBC and whatnot. Well, Castbourse is saying that basically because they have now confirmed that there are some missing Dad's Army episodes, which allegedly in the first round of these rumors was part of that shipment that was found initially. They're saying because now those have suddenly been slated for the DVD release that's coming up for its series, that perhaps there is still some merit there, and that the BBC was just blowing smoke because they still want to, be able to surprise and have some things up their sleeve for the 50th year. So there's not much more to it other than they're speculating that there's still maybe a little bit of truth to this, even though we've run into a lot of dead ends along the way. So,
did anyone dispute the other show?
No,
that was found.
In
that
fact,
was never disputed.
That has never been disputed.
Okay.
In fact, the BBC just recently, I think, listed that on. Let me see what the actual. All right. Bleeding Cool is reporting that on BBC site, For Dad's Army's second series has a teaser that indicates the missing 3 black and white episodes from Series 2 are coming soon. So the BBC has said, yes, we have the missing episodes. So that's why they're proposing that perhaps the BBC is holding their cards very close to their chest on some missing Doctor Who stuff as well. So there's that. Again, take of it what you would like, but I'd take it with a grain of salt. So, all right. Well, next up,
there's a really cool little Easter egg on Google Earth, Google Maps, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Ever since it was established in '96, there has been a police box in Earl's Court, and now Google takes you inside the TARDIS. When you go
so the police box has actually been there. It's just been it's part of a promotional, hey, Doctor Who's back on TV kind of thing, or
no? I think it's just
been there.
It's
Since
always
96.
sat there for a
So
while.
it's an attraction.
Since when?
According to this, '96.
Yeah, it's just
Oh,
it's
so I
one
guess
of
it
the
could
few
have been there for the
remaining
TV
police
movie.
boxes that are still
It's
out there. That's my impression.
It's not a TARDIS.
Well,
it's a police box.
Yeah, it's an actual police box. Now, I'm not under the impression that somebody put it there or that it's been there all along. It got placed there
Somebody
in
put there.
'96, probably
just
because
never-
it's a TARDIS. But just fun. It's there. It's quaint. It's history. It's London, and so I think it's just been there all along. But now
How cool would
you
that
say
be?
it's
Just
not
walk-
a TARDIS. Well,
Well,
it is a TARDIS because it's a police box.
yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah.
that's the idea. But I think it's
But
just
it's-
an old police box that somebody sit there that because it's quaint and looks nice, and of course now everybody that passes it with the popularity of Doctor Who again, it's hey, there's the TARDIS.
Could you imagine just walking, not knowing you were there in London?
Yeah,
Walking back. Oh, that would be so cool.
it'd be a little bit like that. It'd be a little bit like that galley experience. That
Yeah.
just, there it is.
But Google got clever with it and decided.
And
that
now you can double click and go inside.
it's
the
a
console
little
room.
tricky getting in there, but you can if you click on the right
You
spot.
certainly can't do it from your phone.
Yeah, no, you can't unless you have the Google Maps app. I think you can.
I have the Google Maps app,
you
and it
couldn't
still
get into
said,
it,
"Ha
but-
ha."
Yeah,
I'm gonna take you
I had
down the street
I had a
now.
heck of a time getting in there, and of course
I didn't realize how to do it, but now there's 2 arrows.
Yeah, there's one
There's
that goes
double arrows.
this way and one that goes this
And
way.
there's
You
one
gotta
arrow.
get this one on this side. So
So you got to make sure you click the double arrows.
So you go to Google Maps and you find the TARDIS on the outside.
well, you have to click the one on the left too, don't you?
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
there's
Oh,
a
on the
single
floor
arrow.
down.
And then
Okay,
there's a
I get it.
twin.
The other thing
Because
you
the
can
first
do,
time I
though-
went, I just kept clicking
Oh,
like
you're not
that.
on the actual page.
Yeah, see, that's
'Cause
what
if
I
you
was
go to
doing
the
on my
actual
phone.
Google page, there's also a picture of the interior of the TARDIS, and you can click on that and go there as well.
Oh, is there?
Well, that's cheating.
Yeah,
That
it
is cheating.
And that took me forever to. Then
The first time I
clicked
went,
somewhere,
and
I
then
went, oh,
I
okay,
couldn't
here we
find
go.
it either. I was like, how do I get inside?
So how much inside do we get?
Just the console room.
Console room, and you can. It's a 360 pans.
You can go
well,
down.
near,
You can
near
go
360
downstairs. You can
pan.
go upstairs.
Yeah.
You can't go in the corridors. So I tried.
Jet.
Did you find any GNDN conduits?
No, I did not.
Yet.
Yes. That's a Star Trek.
So
joke.
that's pretty cool. So be sure to go on
Let's
there,
check that
and I'll
out.
have a link in the show note.
Another cool thing for those who have BBC America who don't have stars or haven't picked it up on DVD, Miracle Day is going to start its BBC America run Saturdays at 9, part of the Sci-Fi Saturdays, I'm assuming. September 4th through November 16th.
How much
Of this year?
This year.
Stars for that.
That almost makes me think we maybe ought to put Miracle Day on the schedule.
When is it?
September to November.
No.
We're too full.
That's too-
September to
no.
November?
Yeah.
September to November.
Oh, well, see, after the 50th, we ain't got nothing going on.
Well, it ends November 16th.
We'll have that gigantic empty hole between 50th anniversary
Right.
and
And
Christmas.
Christmas.
That whole month.
Yeah, there's nothing going on. in
4
that.
weeks there, yeah.
Maybe.
Nah, I think we're going to bump it till next year. So
Maybe.
no. Anyway,
It would be good to talk about it with people who just got done watching it.
they'll remember.
It'll be fresh in their minds.
That's right.
You are such a doubting Thomas.
And then finally, our friends at Long Island Who.
Is having another friend of ours come
Yep.
to their convention.
Friend of the show,
Simon Fisher Becker.
will be appearing at Long Island Who.
Woo!
Excited. I wish
Wish
we
we were
lived
going.
on the East Coast
Coast,
so we
yeah.
could go, but we live smack dab in the middle of the United States, where we very rarely get any Doctor Who ghosts.
Ghosts.
Guests very close.
Certainly no ghosts.
And the closest is Chicago. We had obviously a Chicago area Doctor Who guest in Kansas City, but
Well, we were supposed to.
that we hosted.
Well,
but,
yes.
yeah,
And then we were supposed to have another one.
right. So
Hopefully we can get more coming.
Hopefully.
fingers
But
crossed.
we're excited for... I wish we
are
were
excited.
going to Long Island Who, because... Long Island...
Sean's actually met Simon Fisher Becker in person.
I really liked the subject line of the email they sent us. I'm old, I'm fat, I'm blue, I'm coming to LI Who. That was clever.
He's a delight, and if you are in the neighborhood and on the fence as to whether or not you should go, yes, this is the tipping point, because Simon Fisher Becker is just a fantastic, fun, funny guest, and he's wonderful with fans, and he's a joy to talk to, and he's the sweetest individual. So definitely go see him. And everybody else that's going to be there. I mean, not that Daphne isn't sweet and
Right,
awesome.
right,
you know.
right.
Everybody that goes to these things is awesome. But yes, I've met Simon Fisher Becker, so I can add him to the very awesome.
And speaking of conventions, you should share a little bit of your experience at Crypticon this weekend.
Well, we did go to Crypticon. Crypticon, apparently this is their third year, which I didn't know.
I only knew that because I went to the website.
Yeah. It's a horror convention that is here in Kansas City, which I'm not the biggest horror fan in the world, but they had a fantastic...
Even being a horror fan, a lot of these guests I'm not even aware of who they
A
are.
lot of these guests are horror fans. Horror guys from back in my day.
You would probably have been...
Back when I was a horror buff.
But they had a pretty knockout lineup of people coming. I mean, it's for a Kansas City Con, I was impressed. It's not Planet Comic Con. It's like, wow. The ones that we were very, very, very excited about included Doug Jones, who pretty much, if you've ever seen a movie with an alien or a monster in it, he was that guy. I mean, he's... I was looking up the list. He's probably best known as playing Abe Sapien in the two Hellboy films. In Hellboy 2, when they get to the weird part of the city and like all the aliens and monsters and things are there, if Abe wasn't in that scene, Doug Jones was somebody else in that scene. Mm-hmm. I mean, he played every other monster in the movie practically. He's also currently he's on Falling Skies. He plays Cochise. He's also been the Silver Surfer in Fantastic Four. He does a lot of that kind of stuff. He was
all the creatures in Pan's Labyrinth.
Most of Pan's Labyrinth. He was he just on and on and on. And then Mel squeed a little bit when we were looking him up when we found out that he was Billy, the mummified zombie kid that Bette Midler bewitches in Hocus Pocus and brings him out of the ground to stumble through town and do her bidding. That's also him.
All we doing.
So, long resume. And occasionally he actually gets to be on camera without makeup or prosthetics.
Like in The Neighbors, I believe.
Yes. But he was there. We mentioned Tony Curran was supposed to have been and was not able to do it.
Neighbors.
That ABC sitcom.
Oh, is he in
aliens,
that?
Apparently.
Oh, I watched that. I didn't recognize him.
Well, you didn't recognize him without blue face paint on.
Huh.
You know his face?
Yeah, I know his face, but... Huh.
I'm assuming he's
He must
without
be one
makeup
of the-
because nobody's without
Yeah,
makeup.
no,
He would totally fit in with that.
Right. But he must be one of the group that lives in the community, gated community. I'll be darned.
Who else was there?
He's not one of the main characters anyway, but yeah. I'll be darned.
Yes.
Bai Ling.
Bai Ling was there.
C. Thomas Howell.
Yeah, why was C. Thomas Howell there? I guess he...
Why not? Red Dawn, The Outsiders, E.T., Amazing Spider-Man.
No, those all say horror. That's what I'm trying to link.
The Hitcher 2?
The Hitcher. That's right. He was in The Hitcher 2. Didn't he play young Norman Bates in the fourth Psycho film? No, I'm thinking of Elliot.
Henry Thomas, yeah. The Day That You're Stopped. Does that count?
Maybe.
It's kind of a sci-fi horror.
Yeah.
William Forsythe.
Okay. Yeah, William Forsythe. That surprised me. I didn't realize he was.
Former Kansas City Chief and Oakland Raider Fred Williamson. Who was in From Dusk Till Dawn and, a host of others. One of the big ones that we went for was Richard Keel.
Yeah, gosh, I'm totally kicking myself because I forgot. That would have been another reason for me to go. I can't believe that.
He played
crept up on me and I
Jaws
forgot
in
about
a couple of the Bond films, and he's kind of spoofed
why I
that
love that
performance
movie.
in many others.
Here we go.
He was in Austin
C. Thomas
Powers, too,
Howell was
wasn't
in Mutant Vampire Zombies from the Hood.
Was he? I don't think he was in Austin Powers, was he?
Was
I know he was in Happy Gilmore.
Isn't it Austin Powers where they're having the henchman?
He's in Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, he was definitely.
I mean, he's not. It wasn't. I didn't see credited there, but I thought there was a scene in where they were. Dr. Evil and Scott are trying to get closer to each other, and they were part of the group that Carrie Fisher was leading. And I thought maybe
I remember that scene, but I don't remember.
Maybe it's not Austin Powers. Maybe it's a different movie where
Yeah.
he's playing a recovering henchman who's trying to make good. I don't remember, but so yeah, he was there. Margot Kidder, who played Lois Lane in the original Superman films.
I liked the gun.
And the big one for us was Ernie Hudson.
Yeah,
who of course,
wasn't there
Ghostbusters,
today.
The Crow, and he did have a commitment come up, which was rather unfortunate that we missed him because he was really kind of, dude, you're like 80% of the reason that we came down here. But on the bright side, my friend Louie, who is in charge of the Kansas Zombie Walk that they're going to be doing here in Topeka in September, was there with his booth, Kansas Carnage, spelled with 2 Ks. The Kansas, obviously. Carnage is that's the other one. But he was there all weekend, so I texted Louis. I was like, dude, if I get you some money, can I get an Ernie Hudson? And he said, yeah. So we're very, very thrilled. And he said that, when he went and talked to Ernie, it was apparently just an absolute delight and a wonderful person and so sweet. And when he said yes for a friend of mine that couldn't be here, the message that I got, Louis texted me, was that Mr. Hudson told me to tell you that he's very sorry that he couldn't be here for you on Sunday, and he hopes that you will come see him again the next time he's in town. And I was just like, "Aw, that's just really awesome." But we did get some autographs, which of course you saw Keith's. I haven't posted any of these yet. So I may have to hold this, Keith, because I don't want Glenn to drool all over it.
That's a really awesome picture too,
isn't that? That was the one I really liked. That's the Richard Keel. He's
cool.
holding the big
he signed
rock.
it on the rock. That's really
Over his head.
really cool.
And he's still massive. I mean, that was the thing that always amazed me. I go back and watch The Spy Who Loved Me, and when Jaws grabs Bond, his hands are bigger than Roger Moore's head. Like, the guy's just massive. And sitting next to him, of course, we got photos, we put our arms around him and stuff. The guy's still solid, too. Yeah. He's not... Like so many of these bigger actors, as they get older, they start to get frail and kind of brittle. And you could definitely sense that was like Peter Mayhew. You could definitely sense that he's maybe on the cusp of that. He had a scooter and some other things to kind of help him get around. But he's still solid. He's still very, very solid of an individual. And then you've seen the...
I love the picture you got of him like he's crushing your head. That was pretty cool.
You've seen the Ernie Hudson one. And there's...
Oh...
From the deleted scene.
Yeah. Was this one she had, or did you print this?
She had that one.
Colorized, actually.
It does look kind of like colorized.
I liked that one. The Margot Kidder, that she had several different photos out there.
Makes it kind of comic bookish.
It does, yeah.
There were several that seemed, it was a little because she had a strange expression on her face, or one of her.
Well, I might. I like her.
One of her kissing Clark,
which was
kind of like me. And it's like, I want Superman in the photo as well. But and I really like that one because the Fortress of Solitude's in the background, and just that's the one. I don't care that it's from the deleted scene, and he's cooking a souffle. It doesn't bother me at all. That's the one I want.
Wish I'd have been thinking I'd have just get one and I'd have paid you back.
I wish I'd have been thinking because I would have. And then that's the composite shot that we created for Mr. Doug Jones.
Oh, that's neat.
Because we wanted to make sure that we got some of our favorite performances in there. But we had a good time. It was actually at the same hotel where they did ConX. So the exact same layout. They had kind of the hallway and then the one ballroom.
The big line of autographs across the back.
Yeah. And the guests were kind of scattered throughout that, which I thought was actually kind of a nifty idea because it helped you...
It helped lines, I'm sure.
It helped lines, and it helped the vendors get browsed a little bit more because you weren't just in the vendor aisle. You were next to
You're waiting while you're waiting in line. You're next to a booth. You're likely to buy something.
Exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And it wasn't terribly busy when we were there, but I talked to Louis and Charity who were there, and they said that this year blew away both previous years of the con. They said last year they did about the same as ConX did.
Oh.
As far as attendance goes. And they said this year they had lines all weekend long.
Had bigger names. And they actually publicized this one because we didn't hear about it previously.
Yeah. Well, in fact, apparently, I briefly met with the organizer who made the joke that he'd been running around looking for Fred Williamson all day because he's supposed to take him to the airport. He says, you know where I found him? I said, where? He says, he's hanging out in the lobby. Apparently he never came into the dealer's room today, and he asked him, what's up? And he says, I had enough business on Friday. I made all the money that I needed to make by coming to the con. So he says, I've just been hanging out here pressing the flesh and meeting people. I'm not going to go sit in that booth. I'm going to be out here. So he was out just wandering around.
That's cool.
So it's like, well, that's an indicator of a good con, in my impression. So, but
and it's a 3-day con of that.
But again, being horror-based, we kind of breezed through most of it pretty quickly and got in, got our autographs. And
any good booths?
Merch? Again, if you're into that kind of stuff,
is it mostly horror merch?
Mostly horror merchandise. There was one guy that I really wanted. He was the Video Vault or something. Again, no disparaging. Just who brings VHS to a con? I mean, literally.
Wow.
In this day and age,
dub that off to a DVD.
Now, I can understand. Like, okay, I've got one shelf of the hidden treasures because look, I've got the legitimate copy of Eog, not the Mystery Science Theater one, but Richard Keel's in this. So I've got the VHS copy of that. Okay, that I can understand bringing. No, this dude had like a whole booth of VHS, and it was like...
Were they a quarter a piece?
You're not making any money this weekend, are you? I mean, really. Only one toy manufacturer. Really? Or not manufacturer, but,
distributor.
Distributor. A lot of...
They make a lot of horror toys.
There were a lot of horror toys.
Cult classic action figures.
A lot of it was empty. I think they sold a lot of the stuff out.
Well, that's good news for them.
And again, some of the artists, they had a bunch of tattoo artists doing things there.
I kept seeing advertisements about there
was a makeup guy and horror makeup, and
I want to say one of the guests were cake people. They've been on like Cake
Boss or
Cake
Ace of Cake.
Yeah, it was more like one of the contest shows. They were contestants, and they kind of did horror themed cakes.
Ah. Well, that's kind of.
I didn't remember seeing that. And then I
recognize him from my Food Network.
There was one of the artists there, and I kind of liked his prints. They were now don't panic, Glenn. They're kind of the minimalist style. But I saw this one, and he had several different ones of zombies and other things. I saw this one, I was like, well, I got to get this one. And initially, I wasn't going to get it, and then he kind of offered me a deal on it because he was getting ready to go home, and I was like, oh, well, okay, for that, yeah.
Oh,
that's neat. No, that's cool.
That's not very minimalist.
No, I mean that's not that.
That's not that.
It's more like a silhouette. That's less.
Okay, well, all the silhouettes, and all of his were silhouettes. So it might be, a guy with a gun and then a horde of zombies.
I like that. That's cool. It's very stylish.
This is I'll also put a picture of this up, but it's picture of Jaws, the shark.
That's really cool.
That's not lazy though. Sometimes minimalist posters. No, look, I look at that and I go, "Gosh, I could do that." That's lazy. This is quite detailed in the even though it's just a silhouette of that scene. It's very detailed and done well.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. And I debated for a long time on it because it's just like, I can't decide if, I mean, you guys been in my house. I don't have any wall space for any more posters. But I really like that.
You still can't hang anything in the basement.
I still can't hang much in the basement, because we got the concrete and everything. But then I justified it because, well, I didn't buy anything else.
That's a good point.
And he was offering me a deal, so
there you go.
I was okay with that. But yeah, other than that, I mean, again, it's if you're into that, Joe Pace was there and brought his car collection, which I guess I didn't realize it's Pace cars. It makes sense that he would have more than one. But of course, he has the replica DeLorean.
Oh, okay.
That has been making the rounds of the last couple of conventions.
Was that the one that was at PlanetCon?
That's not the one that was at PlanetCon. Okay. Supposedly, the one at PlanetCon was an actual Universal. I don't know if it was screen used, but it was driven by Christopher Lloyd in something.
Yeah, one of those
like a promo something or other.
Okay.
Which is why they were charging to get in it. But
well, they were charging to get in it because they were raising money.
Well, they were you could put your butt where Christopher Lloyd's butt was. But he has a replica DeLorean that's been to Topeka a couple of times, and it's a very, very good one. He also had a General Lee.
Was it the same one at ConX?
No, it had a Confederate flag on it, which was like, wow, you don't see too many of those with the full-blown... And I told Mel, I said, it's funny how far this has come, because I remember once upon a time, this is before your time, that the General Lee was coming to town. Like, they were taking it on tour across the country, and it was going to be at the Laird Noller Ford dealership. And we pestered Mom. Eric and I were we were adamant. We've got to go see the General Lee. We've got to go. We've got to go. And she hemmed and hawed, and we bugged her and pestered her. But finally, okay, fine, we'll go. Well, by the time we got there, it was like Sunday, and they had closed. Because we got there like at 6:05, and the dealership closes at 6 on Sunday. Who knew? But we pressed ourselves up against the glass window, and there was the General Lee. And if you remember the episode where they thought the Duke boys had died, and they put that coat of phosphorescent orange paint on the car to make the ghostly General Lee, and it was like, whoa, and it glowed. That's kind of what the car did through the glass. It was just that moment of, oh, there it is. And I couldn't get to it, but it was there. And it was just that emotional high of seeing something like that. And now it's passé. That's like, hey, look, this is General Lee. And you keep walking. It's like, I feel kind of bad now. I've lost that little piece of my shock and awe is gone. But, yeah, they had a pretty good con. So if you're in the area next year and you like horror, definitely go check it out. And their website is crypticonkansascity.com. And we will include that link in the show notes so that you can keep an eye out for next year if you happen to be in the area.
And for those that are elsewhere, they do have other Crypticons.
They do. I should mention that. Yeah, I didn't know that, but they did. There's one in Minneapolis.
Yes.
And
I want to say one in Washington.
I want to say there's one east somewhere.
I'm trying to find that information now.
But and this is the other thing. The autographs were actually very reasonable. I think the most we paid was $25.
Well, that's not
for
bad
her
at
to
all.
give an autograph. So comparatively,
Right.
You know,
Well, because we've been to cons where they've been as much as $50.
I thought for sure
Seattle.
Oh, okay, West Coast. I thought for sure Ernie Hudson was going to be a 40 or 50, and he was 25.
Oh, true.
Oh, that's impressive.
Yeah. So
a little off topic here, but did you guys see the announcement from Planet Comic Con? Speaking of 3 days,
Oh, yes.
No.
I did see that.
3 days.
And the date
Friday.
set.
Yeah, and they've set the date March 14th through the 16th. So
My
we're back to March.
birthday!
Yeah, we're
Back to March.
So, which is
too close to Galley.
yeah, which bumps it back to you'll just have gotten back from Galley.
I'll just have gotten back from Galley. That's all right.
Yeah, so now 3 big days: Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Kansas City Bartle Hall, March 14th through the 16th. So exciting stuff.
That's kind of in the middle of March Madness too. That really kind of surprises me that they do that.
Yeah, but
Oh,
yeah, but they don't do that down. Well, no, they do the Sprint Center though, don't they?
well, they could. We don't
No,
know.
they're
what-
going back to Bartle Hall. They announced
No,
that.
but Sprint Center's nearby. So
yeah.
I'm saying,
No,
we're talking busyness.
Yeah, well, yeah, for the basketball. The basketball will be. I don't know if there are regionals that will be happening in Kansas City that particular weekend. I'm just meant in general that there's something to pull people's attention away from the con. That it surprises me they would
I
do
guess
that
they
early,
figure
but-
most people care more about the
That's only a week
basketball.
earlier than they did it 3 years ago. So
Yeah. Oh well, I don't care. March, bring it on.
bring it on.
I can tell Mel I know what I want for my birthday.
Well, in lieu of the fact that we're talking conventions, it's very appropriate that we're going to move on to feedback now because besides Shaun, 2 of our listeners also attended cons this week and have reports for us. And first up is
Rachel. Rachel writes, comment, question, hello, Vortex gang. As promised, here's my short recap of Gen Con Indy. As I went first thing in the morning on the first day, I was lucky that the crowds weren't very large. My top priority was seeing Peter Davidson, so when the door was opened at 10, the autograph table was where I headed first. Thankfully, the line wasn't very long, but I would have stood in line regardless. I chatted with a few people while waiting. All the while, I was still trying to keep my cool, as I was a bit nervous to be meeting the doctor for the first time. Once it was my turn, I walked up to the table, and the guy taking the money for the autographs asked what I wanted signed and wrote my name out on a small sticky note so that my name would be spelled correctly. Not something I have seen done before. And I thought it was a nice gesture on their part so that no one got an autograph with their name spelled wrong. Once the person who was before me walked away, I was face to face with Peter Davison. He was quite friendly, asking about the bear I had brought that was dressed as the 10th Doctor, complete with glasses he doesn't actually need. He just thinks it makes him look smarter.
Bring the specs.
I told him he had the distinction not only being the first Doctor I ever met, also the first person from Doctor Who I've ever met. He seemed quite pleased at this. I also told him I was going to Chicago TARDIS, so I'd see him again, and he said that sounded like it would be fun. Then we took a picture together, and then it was over. I probably could have said more, but any questions or comments I had thought about asking left my brain completely the minute I got in line. I guess it gives me more incentive to meet him again at Chicago.
There you go.
There you go. That sounds great.
And now you've got those, meeting him for the first time jitters out of the way.
Yeah.
So next time you go, it'll be like visiting an old friend.
The rest of the day was spent wandering around, people watching and shopping the various booths. I saw several Doctor Who cosplayers, including a fourth Doctor, a Victorian, I skipped the word. A fourth Doctor, a 10th Doctor, a Victorian/steampunkish interpretation of the TARDIS, Rose, and the Brigadier. The folks from Who North America, which is a shop located here in Indianapolis, I didn't know that's where it was.
I didn't either.
Had a large booth full of merchandise. But I was good and only bought a book. They also had a full-size Dalek that moved and talked. I saw several little kids run and hide behind their parents' legs as the Daleks threatened to exterminate them. Although one girl was brave enough to give the Dalek a hug, and the Dalek didn't seem to mind. That was a very cute picture that you posted. I saw the other pieces of Doctor Who-related merchandise at several other booths, including steampunk hats that kind of looked like the TARDIS, jewelry, and art. I also picked up several copies of Doctor Who magazine from the 1980s. Sorry, Shaun, the Half Price Books.
The Half Price Books booth, which I didn't reply. I did see that tweet come through that she kind of aimed at me, and I meant to reply with something pithy, and I was at work, so I didn't get the opportunity. I wasn't ignoring you because you sent that. I'm happy that you were able to find something, even if it was at a Half Price Books and I don't have one. And I'm jealous.
Overall, I really enjoyed my day at Gen Con. I'm not much of a gamer, but I figured at the very least it was very good practice for Chicago TARDIS. Now to get back to work so I can have more spending money for Chicago. Rachel. P.S. Shameless self-plug. But for any listeners out there who would like to see my pictures and video from Gen Con, I'll include a link to my blog so they can see what the heck I'm talking about. And she includes that in the show notes. Which I looked at a lot. I saw a lot of her pictures just on Facebook.
I'll include that in the show notes. Thank you.
Glenn will include that.
She included a link that I could put in the show notes, I believe is what you meant.
Yes. That Glenn will include.
And we will shamelessly self-promote you.
It looked like it was a lot of fun.
I've actually visited her blog quite a bit. So
Gen Con's actually a very...
It's game based, but it's not only games, right?
Yeah, they have media guests there, but it's a primarily.
It started as a game convention.
What?
I remember back to when you guys went, and we were running the blog for the TCG that we had. Remember we had the TCG blog, and you went. And you guys sent me reports and pictures, and you sent me Gil Gerard's picture, and I looked at it, and what the heck is that? Who the heck is that? And then I realized who it was, and the caption came to me: Buck Rogers got fat. I just remember Buck Rogers. Sorry. He's looking pretty good now, though, because we saw him last year.
He's slimmed down a lot.
I looked great last year. So, Buck, if you're listening.
It was the strangest conversation ever. Not this one. The one with Gil Gerard.
The first time at Gen Con?
The first time at Gen Con.
Yeah,
wow.
It was to me too.
It was... Yeah, it was interesting. Yeah, Gen Con's because it's primarily a gaming... where
it's run by Wizards of the Coast.
It's run by Wizards. So
it is.
It used to be.
That.
It's kind of a gigantic advertisement for their stuff. But a lot of it's trading card and Magic obviously was a huge part of Gen Con, Magic the Gathering, and then board games and some video, but not much. But then they also had media guests, which are kind of that add-on of.
Yeah, it like there were 4 this year.
If they can loosely find a reason to bring somebody in that kind of sort of might tie into what's going on, sure, why not? If it doesn't happen to tie in, oh well.
Well, that's the majority of cons are other genre related, because the majority of them are comic cons, and then they have media guests of sci-fi. And I mean, Fantasy City Comic Con is on at the base level a comic book.
It's a comic book convention. Yeah,
you get a lot of splintered media and sci-fi and whatnot. So
Doctor Who's a comic book. So
yes, but.
Lots of things are comic books now.
Star Trek's a comic book.
Yes.
Incredible Hulk's. Well, he was a comic book.
He still is.
You realize what I'm talking about. Anyway, thanks, Rachel.
You mean Buck Rogers?
Thanks, Buck.
I think he had a comic book. Oh, yeah, Buck Rogers was a comic strip originally
Oh, yeah,
before
I
it was
guess so.
anything.
Yeah, but before it was...
Ba-choom!
before Gil was even around, yeah. So.
That's like saying Sam Jones couldn't be at a comic book convention. Flash! Did you know we share her birthday?
Yeah, I saw that. I was
Yeah.
very jealous of that, actually.
There's a couple other
that's
people. but
right. That was,
nobody
yeah,
doesn't-
I saw that.
A couple other people like Ben Affleck's brother, but no, Sam Jones.
Casey Affleck.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
Casey.
Affleck's brother. Oh, gosh. You haven't made it in Hollywood yet. You're still only
It's
Ben
Sam
Affleck's
Jones! I'm sorry, there's no one atop that list that they share a birthday with. No offense, Dr. Phil.
Speaking of, would somebody set the date for our Flash Gordon tweet along so that it'll force me to buy
You go
the
buy
movie?
it.
What do you look at me for that?
You're
Next
the
week,
scheduler.
next Saturday? Okay.
We're shooting
We'll do
next
it next
Saturday.
Saturday. Oh.
48-hour film project.
Oh, really?
That's
I
next
did
week.
not know that.
Yeah,
How about the Sunday after that?
You're
Or the
shooting
Saturday
on
after that?
Saturday. Okay, Saturday after that.
maybe.
September,
School has started. I
September
have
7th.
Mondays and Wednesdays off,
August 31st?
which I'm in school, which means I'll be working all the rest of them.
You're
so-
working my schedule when I'm off, so never mind.
Oh, on Friday?
Well, Friday and then the following week, I'm off the whole next week.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, because I was going to say, well, hey, I'm off that whole week, so I won't be getting home as late. Maybe we could do it, but then he's going to be getting home as late as I would, so.
But then again, I typically get up at my normal time, so if we did an afternoon thing during the week, but then a lot of people will be at work, so never mind.
Yeah.
We'll get it in there. Flash.
One of these days.
All
Maybe
right.
one of these days, when we have a repeat, we'll just preempt Friday Night Who.
Yeah. Okay. Nah.
No?
All right.
Friday
well,
Night Flash.
next up,
Friday Night Flash.
somebody else who had a convention this week, and that's Chrissy.
Chrissy writes, "What'd you Google? TARDIS? Dear Vortex boys,
That should have been your own.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't want to steal her subject line.
Oh, I guess
I've done
that's
that before.
Yeah,
I always feel
that's
guilty.
Because you get to go first.
Go ahead.
Are you finished? The pair of you, I swear. Dear
And
Vortex,
you have poor knowledge.
Because I usually see these emails
I know.
beforehand.
you know, I know what it feels like. I don't think I'm going to interrupt you now on the countdown. It's
Or
quite
other
rude.
times.
It's quite rude of me, isn't it? Yeah, I shouldn't do that.
Go ahead.
You really? You're going to let me? You don't have anything to throw in there? Okay. Evidently,
I wouldn't want to be rude.
Evidently, helping staff at convention is very tiring work. Okay, I got it out. Our library system's little anime convention for teens was yesterday, and they had me running around from noon to 10:30 p.m., and I'm exhausted. But it's a good kind of exhausted. The whole event turned out great. As such, this will be somewhat shorter than usual. I need to second Odd Duck Phil's recommendation for Avatar: The Last Airbender. It's fantastic. For being a kid's show on Nickelodeon, it's really mature and deals with some pretty serious stuff. I don't particularly go for most of that cheesy kiddie crap on Nickelodeon and Disney Channel, but Avatar is exceptionally high quality. Give it a shot at least. Anyway, Sarah Jane Adventures. I'd only seen Death of the Doctor from this season, so this was all new to me, even though I've owned the DVD for about a year now. I enjoyed all of it very much, even though I don't have a lot to say about the season as a whole. My favorite is easily Death of the Doctor. An appearance from the Doctor in Sarah Jane Adventures is always a treat, but to have Joe Grant return is extra special. Watching Joe and Sarah Jane remember the Doctor was just so much fun that I can forgive the Shen Sheath's overly convoluted plot and let myself enjoy the boatloads of continuity references from Classic Who. And I love that Sarah Jane has been researching the Doctor's past companions and gives us all those little clues as to what they've been up to since leaving the Doctor. Well, the ones on modern-day Earth that Sarah Jane could do a Google search for anyway. I did a happy little dance when Sarah Jane mentioned that Ian and Barbara were married, because, well, why wouldn't they be? Also, I read a theory somewhere that maybe Tegan campaigns for Aboriginal rights and Ben and Polly run an orphanage in India, and Ace has her own charity, the same way that Sarah Jane is a freelance journalist out of her attic. That is, those are really cover stories for fighting alien threats in various parts of the world. I kind of like that idea that the Doctor's former companions are keeping the world safe in their own covert ways. Also,
Well, in different parts of the world, too.
yeah. Also, I think it's hilarious that K9 and Mr. Smith don't always get along. Does that mean that Keith doesn't like Mr. Smith very much either?
They kind of reconciled when
They
he
did
left.
reconcile at the
So
end of this series.
Mr. Smith redeemed himself.
I'll
I
tell you.
never quite trusted him.
I
since the finale.
haven't trusted him since the end of Series 1, so...
And the fact that he doesn't like Keon should be a big indicator.
That's 2 strikes, buddy. Well, I'm going to go take a nap. Or watch Person of Interest. That's really a good show, too. See y'all later. Chrissy.
Very good.
Thanks,
I'm
Chrissy.
glad your anime convention went well, Chrissy.
You did.
I saw
we
some
saw
of her
pictures,
pictures, too,
She had
yeah.
posted on Facebook.
Her costume looked great.
She did. She looked great. Nice job.
And yes, it is exhausting.
And then last up is Holly from Wisconsin, unless we've gotten any late ads.
Nope.
I haven't refreshed here.
And
so.
not that I've seen.
All right.
I'll double check while you read.
Holly writes, hey guy, oh, excuse me, her subject line, hey, got it right. 138, Sarah Jane Adventure Season 2. Oh, that was boring. Okay.
Season 4, not Season 2.
Well, that made it more exciting. All right. Hey, guys.
She wrote for.
She did write for. Hey guys, great last podcast. My holiday went well, though a little bit on the chilly side, but I can't complain. It was nice to get away for a while. Sarah Jane Adventures Season 4. I'll try to keep my thoughts on the eps short, since there are 6 of them. The Nightmare Man. The Nightmare Man was particularly creepy and dastardly, preying on all of Luke's darkest fears, and hurting poor Canine like that is not cool at all. Love how both Clyde and Ronnie both summed up their courage and faced down their nightmares and helped Luke escape from the Nightmare Man. Was I the only one that was a little creeped out by the red flower on the Nightmare Man's suit coat? That thing reminded me of one of those squirting flowers that a clown would wear. I hadn't thought of that, but now that you say that, I got that image.
It makes sense, though.
It does make sense. Wonder what it would squirt.
Acid.
I'd take a cue from the Joker. The Vault of Secrets. Love how Sarah Jane and Mr. Smith jammed the space rover signal on Mars so that the pyramid couldn't be seen. That was so wonderful. Oh my gosh. I was just all over myself for that. Adrovax comes back asking for help, and I don't blame the group for not believing him. Burps is an okay name for a group talking about UFOs, but it doesn't have the ring like Linda does. Nice use of the sonic lipstick in both parts of the story. Mr. Dread and his team and the laser-shooting men in black are certainly something to be reckoned with. Geeta finally hears that aliens are real, and she gets her memory erased.
Neuralized.
Neuralized, I'm sorry,
There we
yes.
go.
Neuralized. Death of the Doctor. I love this episode. Probably my favorite one out of the whole season. Sarah Jane and Joe are right to trust their gut instincts that they would somehow feel it when the Doctor was dead for sure. We get name drops of the Brig and Liz Shaw. Loved the reaction on Ronnie, Sarah Jane, and Joe's faces upon meeting the 11th Doctor. It's great to see Joe again and how she interacts with Sarah Jane and the Doctor. Plus, I think it's time for a unit to impose a stricter vetting policy for their future recruits. And it added more fuel to how many times can a Time Lord regenerate fire. Added more.
You said it right.
Plus, okay.
Added more fuel to the how many times the Time Lord can regenerate fire.
Thank you. The Doctor tells Clyde he can change 507 times. I also love the updates on some of the companions that Sarah Jane gives at the end of this story. The Empty Planet. Ronnie and Clyde wake up to no adults. The two of them, along with Gavin, have to figure out who's behind this. The second half of the story starts to pick up after the robots are finally able to communicate with Ronnie and Clyde and figuring out that the robots need Gavin to come back to his home planet. Lost in Time. The team is split up and has to find the...
Chronostein?
Thank you. Chronostein. Almost like the keys to time and the keys of Marinus. Not too much to say on this, but I did enjoy seeing Sarah Jane, Ronnie, and Clyde teamed up with someone else in the time period that they were sent to. Goodbye, Sarah Jane Smith. Ruby White sure grates on me on the first episode, but gut instincts were right just from the grin on Ruby's face when Sarah Jane told him to erase her voice commands from the database. She was up to no good. The talk that Gita gave Ronnie about Sarah Jane was just what she needed to tell her something wasn't right. Then Mr. Smith, acting all out of sorts, really gave Clyde more ammo that Sarah Jane just wouldn't leave like the way that she did. Good for K9 for stopping Luke and Ronnie arguing more than they should be, and that getting Sarah Jane and Clyde back are the main thing. Luke turning the tables at the end was a nice touch. At least this time nothing gooey exploded on Sarah Jane, Luke, Ronnie, and Clyde. Well, maybe not Clyde. And K9 and Mr. Smith seem to have settled whatever problem they had from the earlier season now. I have to say that the episodes were good this season. I'll wrap up here. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts and everyone else's on this season. Holly from Wisconsin.
Thank you, Holly.
Thank you, Holly.
And that's it for feedback this week.
I think she just wrapped up my reviews too, so.
That's it for this week.
All right, well, let's get into our reviews of Sarah Jane Season 2.
Okay. As a reminder...
4.
You're going to confuse people.
As a reminder,
3, sir.
my synopses are for the first episode of each story. It's not for the full encompassing story because those are too long. The Nightmare Man. Luke faces life-changing events, and Bannerman Road will never be the same again. But when Sarah Jane's son has his first nightmare, he's haunted by a dark figure from his dreams. A strange entity is reaching out to our world, with terrible consequences for the whole human race.
Dun, dun, dun. Actually, that may have been a little strong.
That was a little strong.
That was a little strong. Dun, dun, dun.
I think this is one of the
That may have been a little weak.
I think this is one of the weakest of the
I
series.
would agree.
The interesting thing is that I explained last week how I popped in the wrong episodes and actually saw Lost in Time first before I realized my error. But going back and putting this in perspective, this season overall is really good.
It is. It
But
really
it's
is.
bookended, for me at least, it's bookended with 2 of the weakest episodes of it, which I thought were weird because when you're devising a series, I think you really want to get off on a really strong foot and you want to end with a bang. And I didn't feel like Series 4 did that for me. I felt like it really was its best throughout the whole mid-body of the series. But this one, I didn't hate this one. There are ones from other series that I've liked least than this. So at least I went into at least I went into this one going, okay, this isn't too bad. I thought the villain was really weak. It was a weak concept, a weak idea. I thought it was interesting that this was the first time that Luke has ever dreamt.
Yeah, that idea, which they've referenced to before.
Right. And I was really grateful for the fact that since I knew that we weren't going to get any Luke after this, I was really grateful to have so much of him, this episode, or this story centered around him, because he does go missing there with the exception of a few little cameos over Skype and whatnot later. So I did appreciate the fact that they took one story and really focused it on Luke. I like the idea that they were able to converge within their dreams and be able to fight this together.
It really allowed the 3 kids to shine.
Yeah, and I thought Elizabeth Sladen did a fantastic job, but overall the story is just kind of there.
Go ahead.
I like the idea behind the story, and I don't know if it's that the idea is weak or that it was poor execution.
You know what it is? It's a kid's version of Nightmare on Elm Street is what it is.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, well, and it felt very much like the previous episode with the clown, where he was feeding on. It was almost a retread of that kind of same idea.
It doesn't help that the Nightmare Man kind of looks like a clown or a harlequin.
But she was creepy looking. I'll give him that. I thought.
Because you don't like clowns.
It's true. It did its job.
There was a 9-foot robotic clown at Crypticon.
Was it really?
Oh, it was frightening. It would do this. It was like, oh, God. Next aisle, quick. You don't want a picture with the clown? No! Move, next aisle.
I agree with a lot of what you said, and part of why I think it doesn't work that great for me is it feels like we don't fully explore where the Nightmare Man comes from or why he's doing what he's doing.
That's a good point.
He's there for the scary aspect, and as for a kid's show, this is creepy. And as a kid, this would have scared me. I would have been watching from behind the sofa. But everything else, it just doesn't do it for me. Nice character moments, nice character development, nice send-off for Luke. Unfortunately, nice send-off for K9. Everything, but other than that, it's just kind of meh.
Were there tears?
There were not tears. I knew he'd be back.
But he was leaving in the car.
But you know what I said to myself? Okay, I want to spin off of that now. Luke and K9 at University. Do it.
They could do that now.
I don't know.
Well, and apparently, Tommy Knight wanted to reduce his involvement in the show. And Bob Baker was less willing to allow the expanded use of K9 on the show because of the Australian spin-off series, and that's why they sent them both off to
that's interesting.
uni. And I knew Luke was leaving eventually anyway, so...
Well, I remember once upon a time that we'd heard that was happening, but it came as kind of a shock, almost, in a way, that it was boom, right up front. I mean...
Very much like Maria, when she left.
Yeah.
Because she handled the first episode of the second series.
And that's what kind of kept going through my mind.
And
so
that's why I keep thinking this is season 2.
I had my defense barriers up, because it was like, no, I'm not going through this again. And now they're going to bring in some other guy to be Sarah Jane's son, and he won't be as good, and I won't like him, and...
Luckily, they toyed
Maybe
with
they'll get a robotic cat, and I'll just be like, this sucks.
Luckily, they toyed with that in the Nightmares, but didn't do that the rest of the season.
Yeah, I was really happy with that.
Which is a very nice thing. And what I did like, watching this as an adult, what I liked about this story is 4 kids, and part of it gave me a very big Buffy feel, is it's dealing with emotional issues that kids go with. The fear of change, the fear of moving on, going to a new school, etc. And it's a great way to deal with these things in a science fiction setting.
And I thought those themes were handled very well.
Exactly.
Yes, I agree with you there.
Thematically, good story. Story-wise, maybe not so much.
Just briefly touching on Liz Sladen's performance when she showed up as the crotchety old lady who was bugging Clyde.
Yeah, that was this episode.
That's what I was referring to.
That was another, a very standout performance from her.
It's funny that would be the Nightmare Man's particular view of what Clyde's nightmare would be, that you're never as good as Luke and you're not as good as... And Sarah Jane's the one that's going to be coming in here and telling you about it while you're flipping burgers, But then the comeuppance of him being stuck in that particular scenario. Like, have I told you about my son Luke? He's a genius. He's this, he's that, blah, blah, blah. And he's got to hear that for the rest of, however long he's going to be stuck there.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you guys know the guy who plays the Nightmare Man was also Davros?
In
Doctor Who.
In the new series.
The new series Davros.
Not Terry Malloy.
Not Terry Malloy.
Did not know that.
I didn't know that either.
Interesting little tidbit. That's all I really have for this episode. This story.
Yeah, like I said, it kind of kicked things off, and it almost set.
It's like we're back to Sarah Jane.
Yeah, really. It left
it didn't set the bar high, at least for the season.
Yes.
Where other seasons set the bar really high in the first story.
I would agree.
We've all kind of agreed that it goes downhill throughout the season.
That was my problem with season 2 specifically, was the fact that I thought, even though we're dealing with the Jadoon again, I thought, okay, they really hit the ground running, and then we just kind of did this little scoop down as we went. This one...
But see, I didn't agree with you on that season either, because I liked the end ones. But, yeah, this one... so we're all...
I think so.
We're all there that it's just kind of like, it was okay.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, well, the Vault of Secrets. When an old enemy, the Androvax the Veil, returns to Earth, the gang face a dilemma. Should they trust him, or does the legendary vault hold an even greater terror? But a second threat arises when android guardians threaten to destroy anyone who uncovers their secrets.
Dun, dun, dun. It's kind of about the same level for me.
See, I thought this one was better.
I thought this was better, too.
I was quite disappointed that... is Androvax?
Androvax.
Androvax.
You're right.
Androvax. That Androvax returns, because that...
How he escaped from the Jadoon,
yeah,
they didn't really touch on. Wasn't he? He was still...
They did, but I can't remember what they said. Yeah, they mentioned how he got away, but I can't remember what it was. But regardless,
It was a really expensive.
I didn't
makeup
think he
job.
was
They
a
needed to repeat.
fantastic. I didn't think he was a fantastic villain before,
Yeah.
and I don't like the whole possessing another person's body. So that I went
I
into
liked
this
that
one,
we got through it quickly.
Yes, I mean, and we do it. It's actually utilized much better, I thought,
Yeah,
in this
agreed.
episode as well. And so when he initially came back, and I thought, oh, here we go, we're going to do this guy again. And at least it's not Slavine coming back, or Blathering, or whatever. And so then we
that was the other thing about
Which
the
we got a
first
nice
episode.
little
That there was
mention.
the Slytherin showed up at the very beginning.
Yes,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
and
And I went, oh god, yeah. So,
the Bond pre-title sequence almost.
But as this goes along, I really thoroughly enjoyed this because I like the fact that he's like coming to them and playing to them to try to get them to help him, and that he's changed and he's trying to convince them. And Sarah kind of goes along with it, but she has that gut feeling that she doesn't trust him. And I like the idea of this vault of alien, basically artifacts that this one group of androids have been charged with guarding, essentially, and that it's basically bigger on the inside. That it's
I really liked what it felt like London's take on Men in Black.
yeah,
Because Men in Black have always felt very American.
yeah,
yeah,
Because of Roswell and everything. And so it's kind of a nice, okay, well, now we're going to start doing this, too.
Well, and here's the thing: is it uses the Men in Black mythos that I was familiar with before the Men in Black movies, and doesn't silly it up. Like, now, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed Men in Black and Men in Black 3, but but I've always that's not my idea of Men in Black, the Men in Black mythos that has always been portrayed.
To be fair to the movies, those are more based off the comics.
They are based on comics, but even the comics I've never thought was very good dealing with the mythos. This, even though there was a little bit of silliness to it, and they played it a little tongue-in-cheek, it stayed more with the whole, reason behind it, and it actually gave it an excuse,
Yeah.
and whether other than it being, this secret military organization or governmental organization,
which
it's
was
actually been
really
placed
nice.
here by aliens in order to keep, because we're not ready for first contact, essentially.
Which is really nice considering
And then shutting that
the
program
UK
down in
already
the
has
70s.
2. Do they really need 3?
Well, that was the interesting
was
thing, though,
nice.
is you get the impression that it was shut down in the 70s, which would have been about the time that UNIT was operating and coming along. And then, of course, as UNIT's still running now, but UNIT's kind of run its course, and then Torchwood kind of came along. So I like that concept.
Well, and it was
that it's a kind of passing
yeah,
torch.
it's kind of a passing
Well, and
torch
they're
without
also-
them really knowing.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
none of them really know that the other person is doing
Yeah.
it, but somehow fate has worked it out to where we have everything kind of covered at certain times in the time period. So, I thought that was cool.
I like the exploration of Burp.
Yeah, which was funny. I love
which
those
was
two
a-
characters too.
Oh, Minty.
They were
Minty and
wonderful.
Ocean.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that Minty's got this device that typically would work, which I thought, wow, that's very clever that he's got something that... And Sarah Jane sabotages it there at the last second. That was cool.
And it felt very much like a nod to Linda,
Yeah, it sort of did. It sort of did.
as Holly mentioned.
Which is funny because Caitlin and I just recently watched Love and Monsters.
Is she that far?
By the way, she's done with today. She finished series 2, and she watched the first 2 episodes of series 3.
Nice.
Oh wow!
Well, she watched Runaway Bride and she watched Smith and Jones and the Shakespeare Code. So,
very good.
She's that far onto it now. Yeah, she gets these little. She sits down and goes into these little streaks of
mini mainlining.
mini mainlining. But yeah, overall, I like this. I like the idea that how the Earth is threatened, because as soon as he launches this star drive to get out of there, it's essentially going to basically blow up the Earth. I like that. It was a neat concept. It was a neat...
Agreed. I don't quite understand why it would, because it's in this... They talked about... That wasn't bigger on the inside.
It was another dimension, essentially. Yeah.
Dimension, another location.
But it has to go. My impression was, in order to get out, it has to go through.
that? Okay. I didn't get that while watching.
To our
it, but that
dimension.
makes more sense now.
And so I get the impression that but I like the fact that there's a reason for the Earth being in peril.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for having to basically stop him from taking off. So, and I thought it concluded very well. So, thoroughly enjoyed this one. Thought it was much better than the first one.
There are parts of it I like better than the first one. I enjoyed the Men in Black. I enjoyed the idea that, like you said, that we're taking that mythos and just kind of putting a slightly different spin on it. And it's not something that we've seen Sarah Jane tackle yet. Mm-hmm. So it's like, okay, it's time for this to really come to fruition. I like the fact that the body swapping was done better, and that we didn't spend a lot of time second guessing who was. It's Andrew Max. Okay, here we go. And just get hurry up and get there. I didn't like burps, and I think honestly, the 90% of that is because I still don't like Gita. Gita is good in small doses as comic relief, and this really kind of thrust her up into the plot part of it, that it's revolving around her, and she just grates on my nerves. And so I couldn't enjoy the little fun asides with this group, other than, well, it should work, and it doesn't. I mean, that was great, but pretty much everything else was just like, and there she is again, and there she is again, and here's another scene again. It was just like, okay, enough of you. I just don't like Gita. I just don't like her.
I guess I don't have a problem with Gita, and I was kind of disappointed actually.
I never liked what's her name's mom,
Maria's mom.
Maria's mom.
Yeah.
But I should have.
But I kind of thought it was going to do the reverse. And I'm disappointed that they wiped her memory, because I thought it was going to do the reverse.
She was getting the confirmation. That
and it was going to be the reverse of Maria's dad, where she kind of knows what's going on and kind of covers with her mom, with Ronnie's mom or dad now, and is kind of involved. And I kind of like that idea, because I don't mind Gita at all. And I think part of what makes her obnoxious is because she doesn't know what's going on. She's not in the loop, so she has to play that comic relief. And kind of like how Maria's dad got so much better once he was in the loop.
Exactly. And I think, honestly, that was the problem.
I think that would have fixed it if they would have not wiped her memory.
I think had she become a productive member of the group, because she had some of this knowledge and was aware of what was going on, and we could give her that moment where she wasn't as ditzy as she kind of comes across, that maybe that would have enhanced her a little bit for me. But instead, she's got to go off in the exactly where I kind of figured Gita would take it. I'm going to be on TV. I'm going to be... Because it's all about her. It doesn't matter that we save the planet. It's all about her. And, okay, we're going to wipe her memory again. And there's a part of me that's like, good, wipe her memory. And there's another part of me that's like, which means she can continue to be the obnoxious, unknowing bore on this show that she just... It was a lose-lose for me at that point, because I didn't want her to be part of the group anymore.
I also like the exploration of they do kind of remember and saw stuff from the Jadoon episode.
Yeah, that was fine.
Because part of what I didn't like about that was the whole ridiculousness of them not really seeing anything.
Yeah.
From what I remember that story.
They kind of very skirted around it.
Yeah.
But
sort of corner of the eye viewing.
Yeah. But I don't mind the fact that they tackled the idea that she saw something. I just didn't like how they went about it. I don't know if this episode maybe was the best way to do it or not, to deal with it. But
we should talk about the open, though. When they blocked the signal on Mars.
Oh, yeah.
That was the best part of it.
That was totally, I agree.
Hands down, that was the best part of it.
And when that was coming up, and I didn't even know where they were going with it, and they're doing that, and then when we get to see what everybody else doesn't get to see, and you see the pyramid in the background, I went, ooh!
And Shaun had mentioned that there was something like that, because he had seen this episode to me. And he was like, yeah, you don't know what it could be. It's totally pyramids of Mars.
It's totally pyramids, yeah.
Well,
there's no way that could be an ice warrior.
It was left ambiguous enough. It could have been the ice warriors that she was protecting them from, because she said some of Mars' planet secrets deserve to stay secret.
That is true.
But I agree. I agree. It's a pyramid.
But because Sarah Jane was never in a ice warriors,
she knew
she was, because
she met the ice
Peladon
warriors,
was one of the ice warriors.
But I don't think did she know that was they were from Mars?
I think she did. I think the doctor explained that.
I think so.
But yeah, I was thinking it made more sense to me that it was Pyramids of Mars, because that was predominantly a Sarah Jane story. But she met the ice warriors and Peladon.
No, I agree. It's totally a Pyramids of Mars story.
Yeah.
But
that was where Sutek was before he was annihilated. So finally annihilated. That's his prison tomb. Pretty cool.
Do we know when that part of that episode was set?
The prison?
No,
The
when
structure?
when they go to when they actually go to Mars in Pyramids of Mars, is it set?
It's the fourth story of the. When in real time?
When in
it
the
would have been?
universe?
When in Earth time that particular part
yeah,
of that
probably.
story is set?
Probably.
Because obviously they're in the past when they encounter him on Earth in the house, and he's
Right.
building the pyramid initially. But then he takes her into the far future to show this is what Sutek will do if we don't
Correct.
stop him. And then they go back.
I got the impression
to
it was
Mars.
present day.
So it still would have been present day past.
1911, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, was it really?
Because he takes... That's when the past was, 1911.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Then he takes him forward to 1980. Then TARDIS turns to 1911. And then I'm scrolling down. Hold on.
And then they go to Mars.
Yeah, it doesn't indicate that it's in the future.
It's more of a spatial hop than a time hop.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The
I
doctor-
don't see why it would be, because
the
they
doctor
make
declares
reference to the fact that he's basically been imprisoned on Mars since, like, ancient Egypt.
For 7,000 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, just from a Sarah Jane point of view, would there have been any, that she knows that this knowing smile on her face because she knows that in 2 hours I'm actually going to be locked in an airtight cylinder on
I
the
see
plane.
where you were trying to go with
But
that. No.
yeah, no, it wouldn't happen.
Just hiding the evidence.
Just hiding the evidence for everybody else, which is still cool.
Yeah, because I get the impression that tunnel that Sutek was using to traverse to Earth was not like a time thing. It was
Right?
just
Yeah. No.
yeah.
It's just been long enough since I've seen Pyramids that I need to go back and revisit it. So, but yeah, that was obviously the best part.
That
of
was
it.
the best part. I agree.
And I thought I liked the end, how the robot had to, or the android had to use his power. We get that great little bit of exposition about his power cell, and then it's like, oh, we have a use for it now. And I didn't think they seemed very Men in Black-y with removing their hands and firing.
They were almost
ray
Auton
bolts.
that way.
It's kind of where I thought they were going initially.
Until the big ray gun came
Until
out.
the huge ray gun came out of his sleeve. They don't do anything small. These guys, it's like this,
Well, it was 1970s.
This hand cannon, Oh yeah, they were Dirty Harry. Get have a big gun on them.
They had to crank it down. They didn't have the noisy cricket
Yeah,
yet.
no miniaturization there. But yeah, overall, like I said, it was okay. It's not that it was great. It's not that it was bad. It was just, it felt kind of in line with the one that had come before, and I was worried. I was like, wow, this season's really off kind of a rocky start for me.
That's funny, because I thought this was a step up from the first.
It was
I agree
a
with
step
Glenn.
up, but not much of one. But again, I lay all that on Gita's feet because I don't like Gita.
Well, shall we step up the mountain?
Let's step up the mountain.
Now let's go to the pinnacle, the peak, the very highest. Let's plant the flag. Let's go to Everest.
This next one
Yeah.
is the Everest of this series?
Yeah.
What was the next one?
The death of the
Oh,
doctor.
okay, there it is. I was thinking there was another one before this. I was going, no, because the peak pentacle of this is going to be Death of the Doctor.
We're going to go higher up Everest with this than Brian Blessed.
Yeah, this is the
Higher
peak.
than Brian Blessed?
Higher than Brian Blessed. Because he didn't make it to the peak. We're going to the peak.
When the Doctor is declared dead, old companions Sarah Jane and Joe Grant meet for the very first time and join forces to discover the truth. As an interstellar conspiracy gathers around Unit HQ, Clyde finds that he holds the fate of the Time Lord in his hand. Quite literally.
We're going to do it together.
Okay. You can get on this?
Dun, dun, dun!
We liked this one.
This is the second time I've seen this one, too.
I had not. Clueless.
I
going
watched
into it.
this
Other
years
than-
ago
well,
when it came out, because I thought, I can't wait. Because I did that with the David Tennant ones, as I watched those as soon as they were available. And
we were spoiled when it came up with the next time on.
Oh, yeah.
So we're watching it, and then I realized, oh, this is that one. And that's when Matt Smith showed up, and Mel went, "Yee!" on the couch. It's like, oh, well, no surprise there. But then we still managed to hold off a week before we watched
I don't know how
it.
you
So it's
managed to
like,
do that.
that's how busy we were.
yeah, in fact, I think I went right on. I think I watched this
two.
back to back with because I was like, I know what's coming next, so I want to see that again.
I went 1, 2, and 3 back to back.
I'll tell you right now,
Oh,
I am
2 days.
The only thing that would have made this better is if we'd already just watched it. I am so glad that you guys are getting ready to, because you haven't seen Green Death, right?
Have not seen
You've
Green
not
Death.
seen
No,
Green Death. So I'm so glad that we're getting to see Joe's finale and leaving, because this is where all of this is set up for where she is and why who
yes.
she's with.
Yeah.
A little
So
bit
I'm
of
glad that
serendipity
you guys
there.
will get that close together and get sort of that reverse retconning, but just
I
that
think-
reverse reveal.
I think I'm going to want to go back and rewatch it after that.
Yeah,
Because
you
I
might- you
think
might
I might
want
get
to.
more references, and I think it will have more of an emotional impact for
Yeah.
me.
The good
Because
thing
as
is,
squee-worthy as this was, it was not as emotional for
Oh.
me as watching with 10.
yeah. Well, then see that makes sense.
That could be,
because,
yeah.
And it was nicely focused towards Joe more, I thought. But it didn't seem like Katie and Matt had the connection that Tin and Sarah, that David and Sarah do, the actors. I think partially because David's such a fan of Sarah.
Well,
I'm sorry.
That could be,
that very
but I
easily
think
could
Sarah
be.
Liz-
I
Yeah.
think the characters together were together in very different ways. I don't
That's
think
true.
that Joe and the Doctor were as close as Sarah and the Doctor were.
That's okay.
And so that's
fair.
why it makes more sense. But this really dealt with the idea that Joe wasn't very bright, and she recognized that.
She
But
says that several times.
but Joe was very compassionate, and I think she felt that the Doctor patronized her a lot and didn't see the qualities in her that he maybe saw in other companions. And so this almost is a validation for her
Yeah.
that he did. He watched her because she was upset. She was disappointed that Sarah had already
Got to meet him
encountered
again.
him.
Those parts were just
And
kind of
she
hard
had
to watch.
never-
Hard to watch, wasn't
And
it?
then, yeah, but then when the Doctor reveals to her that and it starts talking about her life, and you realize he's been watching her, and then there was really no, it was accidental that he showed up with Sarah the first time, but
Yeah.
and Sarah says that it was quite. In fact, she kind of tries to
tries to
does
play
that.
it off and-
well, it was quite accidental, and
The first time.
Yeah.
Oh.
I like to think that Tin went to all companions before he left.
You know what? That is the best part of this episode. We watched End of Time, and we get these snippets, and we get the extended, over-long, dramatic David Tennant goes back and visits everybody. New series that shows up in his life, and it's fine, and it's fan wank, and it's there, and okay. And it bugged me that he didn't visit everybody. And Russell T Davies coming back and writing this line in this episode has fixed that. I checked up on all of you. Okay, I forgive you.
yeah,
You have fixed it. Everything's good.
yeah.
Because I do. I agree. I wanted to believe that he went back and checked up on everybody.
Yeah.
Not that he doesn't do it periodically anyway,
No.
but I
think
just
there's
especially
one person
now.
he didn't get a chance to go back and check up on, and I think that's the Brig.
Yeah.
because
Oh,
he missed
that's
his
the way-
opportunity, and that was
The way, in closing time, that nice reference.
Yeah.
No.
Although I
Having
also
rewatched
kind of get
that,
the
that
impression
brought a
that he
scene- that scene
probably,
brought a tear to my
because
eye.
the Brig met almost every, well, if you count all of the materials, the Brig met every version of the Doctor with the exception of the first.
Which makes him
well,
truly his
technically
best friend.
met the first, because in...
Different actor, not
yeah.
the Brig.
But still. No. I'm talking about 5 Doctors. Hartnell was there. He didn't essentially
Oh,
meet
that's right.
him,
He did
but
meet him.
You mean 3
he
Doctors?
encountered it. No. Oh, he was in the 3 Doctors as well.
Yeah,
so
but I don't think he had a scene with.
He didn't have a scene
Well,
with him, but he
yeah, I think
technically, I think the Brig did have a scene with William Herndl.
Richard.
Richard Herndl.
Yes.
Yes,
and
he met him in 5
disconnected.
Doctors.
Yes, he
Yes,
does.
okay, that's
But
fine.
he was even in
So
the TARDIS
it was
before
an
the first
incarnation.
Doctor leaves the video screen at the end of the 3rd Doctors, the 3 Doctors.
Okay, so then he's met all of them.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
fine.
anyway, so I always got the impression that even though the 11th Doctor missed that last moment before he died, that he constantly went back and saw the Brig, because we saw that happen throughout even the classic series of him revisiting
Oh, yeah.
the Brig, albeit accidentally a few times as well then. But so
Well,
I get the
and-
impression
and,
that the Brig doesn't really count in that, because he. That's why I think that was more impactful. That
In Power of 3, he's not totally surprised that Kate Stewart
Yes.
with that
Yeah,
reveal.
that's true.
So maybe he met her as a
little girl.
little girl or
he-
something.
Which story was it that the Brig was back in, and he mentions the Brig's wife?
It would have been Battlefield.
Yeah, and there wasn't a mention of a child, though, right?
No, but
it's
some of the spin-off materials refers to the fact that Kate is actually from another marriage. That his wife in Battlefield is actually a second wife, I believe. If I'm just some of the stuff I've skimmed
from a
reading, but
timeline standpoint, probably makes more sense.
Yeah, I think so.
Just from he was
because he was
getting old.
I like to think it was. I don't. Did we see his wife in Battlefield? Or did we just talk about her?
We
did see her.
Yeah, we see her frequently.
But she was
at the beginning when they call him up, and then she was at the end when she goes off with the girls.
Yeah,
and she's not spry enough, I don't think, to be giving birth to Kate.
She's quite a bit younger than I think Greg at that point too. But also, when he's at the school in the Fifth Doctor era, he's not
married.
Yeah, that's true.
So, I think that's where some of the materials have gotten the fact that he maybe was married at one time, had a daughter. They divorced because, I think in fact they talk about his job basically was just too, he couldn't be compatible with being married and being in unit or the military, and so it didn't work out. And then, in fact, Downtime, that has Kate in it as well, does kind of address the fact that that's the reason why their relationship is strained, because of the fact that they have such different lives. Anyway, back to this story. So I think the dynamic between the two was different, and so that's what made this emotional for me, is the fact that the way that they left, because you haven't seen it yet, but the way that they left things, and the way that Joe perceived that the Doctor perceived her was incorrect, and that there was the Doctor kind of validates that there was more than just that. So that was neat.
I love that speech he gave her on the planet. That was such a good speech.
That was the emotion.
That was the turning point where, because it was like quarter of the way through the second episode, where the first half, when they first kind of meet, and it wasn't until that I started to feel that, okay, they're doing Joe justice now.
Yeah. I love the fact that she explains what she's been doing, and that she's this environmentalist
with
because
her grandson.
as you'll find out in the Green Death, she's the man she marries is an environmentalist. And I love the references to Peladon. When they both realize they've been to Peladon. When Joe mentions, he took me to this planet called Peladon, and then Sarah's like, I went to Peladon, and then they talk about
Aragog.
No. Aragon. Okay. And so they have that connection, and then just the little moments they have between each other. It's like, old girlfriends catching up, but they really didn't know each other because they just have that common link with the Doctor. Just all the fan wink in this was just all over the place.
Filling to the brim.
It is.
I couldn't decide initially if I liked the way that he extrapolated Joe's character, because she shows up and she's still ditzy and she's very blonde and she's just being Joe, but yet it's that filtered remembrance version of Joe. It seemed like it was very much, this is what I remember from the 70s, and there was this, and this, and so we're going to have Joe do all of that, and now she's going to be, I go out and do causes, and I protest, and I do this, and I've got scented candles and herb tea, and, just because that was big there. And, it's just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But as it progressed, I realized that, no, it does fit.
That's just it, though. But having seen The Green Death, and I don't think you're going to get this huge aha enlightenment moment when you see it, but knowing that who she ends up with and how he was, I get the impression that he really kind of changed a lot of that in her. That she wasn't necessarily that hippie tree hugger. She had that, she had those inclinations, but she didn't really act on them until she met him and then fell in love, and then
it's like that 70s show. is that really what the 70s were like, or is that just what we remember the 70s were like?
Well, that's what that is. But I'm not sure.
I kind of felt that about this initially.
I can see where you got that without knowing some of the backgrounds.
Because I freely admit I have not seen Green Death. So, but initially I kind of got that vibe. But then as it progressed and as it went on, it was there. I felt a little bad that Santiago was a little shortchanged. That he wasn't really given much to do, but I mean, admittedly, we've got a pretty full show as it is.
He gets sent off to be with the kids, and I thought that was fine.
Yeah,
it was kind of a nice interchange of, you travel the world, you've been in space. I mean, they're nice.
Well,
the kids
it's
being
funny
jealous
because
of each other.
It's really neat because they set that up with they're talking in the little morning room, and he's talking about all these places he's gone, and they're like, yeah, we're from where are they from? Ealing, and it's like, and my first thought was, yeah, but you capture aliens and you've been to space, and
yeah.
And then they touch
on that later, which is nice.
Yes.
In a way, it was almost kind of like a nice replacement for Luke.
I trailed off there because something just dawned on me, which I'll have to talk about when we talk about the next story.
Oh.
Sorry.
But I mean, we've got a fairly full boat at this point, and then the addition of Joe and trying to incorporate all this extra stuff. So it
totally makes sense to separate the two.
Yeah, no, it totally does. And so I thought that was great, and I love their relationship, and I loved the I love the fact that the vultures were the. And Sergei's, obviously we can't trust him. I mean, just look at him. Okay, now wait a minute. Whoa. That's not. And I love it that Ronnie calls her out, and I was like, hey, we don't do that. Okay. It was hard at times to watch Sarah Jane's reactions to this.
You know what's ironic is all of this was written before the whole death storyline of him going in the distance.
That's
what
genius.
I thought of while watching this.
No, that's the genius part of it. That's totally. I've retconned it in my head. This is where he gets the idea to tone himself down. That he's going to fake his own death. It all comes from this episode.
Oh, yeah.
That he thinks that's a good idea. Yeah,
sold. Because while watching it, I had to keep reminding myself, well, no, that's later. This is...
that's...
Which, it was nice that they made the reference to
Amy and Rory are at.
And where they are in the 11th Doctor's run.
Honeymoon planet. It's actually a moon made of honey.
No, it's a moon and a planet that got married, and they're on their honeymoon.
That's right.
Not as much fun as it sounds.
And I thought that was a very nice reference when Joe, knowing that she leaves and gets married, that she left because she got married. Mm-hmm. Not seeing Green Death. I think that'll have more of an impact next when I see it. And then the fact that, well, I could have stayed with you if I brought this guy along. I thought that was a really interesting reaction to... He's talking about Amy and Rory, and none of these people know who Amy and Rory are. But that's just the 11th Doctor, diarrhea of the mouth.
When she sees him for the first time and is going on and on and on about his baby face.
And Joe says, oh, I knew he could change faces. I didn't know it could turn into a baby's.
And his reply, you look like somebody baked you.
Yeah. Wow, that's harsh.
I had that split moment because part of me was laughing uproariously, and there was another part of me going,
But that is so something
the
Pertwee's doctor would have said. And so I thought, wow, well done. There's where the writing was done really well. That would have been one of those brash things that the third Doctor would have said off the cuff and then regretted.
And then regretted later. Then he would have patted her on the hand and said, I'm sorry, let's go and have a cup of tea.
Exactly.
And maybe we'll find a wine and some cheese for me.
That's wonderful writing right there.
And the reference to the... speaking of the third Doctor, that Liz is stranded on a unit moon base and can't get back for his funeral. I thought that was a nice touch of
the brig's in Peru and Liz is on the moon base. Wait, you've got a moon base. Speaking of base, the unit base, it's in the mountain. No,
that was not inconspicuous
at all. It's like Skull Mountain is what this is. It's this huge fortress thing. And I looked at Mel and I went, well, this is not like Stargate Command. They're not being subtle.
Where it's just a little doorway. Google.
Yeah, I mean, aliens attack here first. That's pretty much what this place says to me.
That was horribly gaudy, and I thought a little over the top.
This must have been where they built the
You
Valiants.
guys were. I want to step back real quick because the throw off cuff about Liz and the brig. You guys were more forgiving of that. Even after they did that, I thought they would have found a way to come back and be at this funeral. And
I knew that the doctor wasn't really dead. So.
That's just it. But but here's the thing: when I first watched this, I knew he wasn't dead. But I thought, they're setting up this funeral, and I don't know what's going on here. The first time I watched that, they would have found a way to get back here. It's not until you discover that they really only needed Sarah Jane and Joe Grant, and that was all the pawns that it was like, okay, they were just never even informed because they weren't part of the plan.
I kind of
but when they make that comment initially, I thought I don't like that because they would have figured out a way to get back here. But then later you forgive it because then you're like, okay, well they never knew because the doctor really wasn't.
You've actually just fixed that for me because I felt the same way.
Oh, good.
The brig would have found a way to be here,
but
maybe not Liz, but the brig
was in
would have found a
Peru
way.
for Wedding of Sarah Jane Smith too.
Well, but the brig's always in Peru.
I mean, wouldn't he come back for Sarah Jane's wedding?
Well, I see the doctor's death.
Yeah, that's
is
different.
a little more weighty, and the brig would have made
so.
and Sarah's wedding was quite rushed too.
True.
I mean,
that's
just
well.
rude.
It seems like this funeral's kind of rushed, also.
Well, yeah, but you can't.
Peru, I don't imagine they have great cell signal.
You kind of choose when your wedding's going to be.
Now, wait a minute.
You don't always have a lot of say in when your funeral's
I know.
Funerals are. Let's face it. Funerals are always rushed.
Oh yeah.
Weddings, not so much. Weddings usually get a year's worth of notice, and you put it on the calendar. When you say I'm getting married in 2 weeks, it's like, I'll buy you something extra nice. I can't come.
Right, exactly.
But a funeral's like
I always
have
just
to drop what I'm
imagine
doing and go.
that Peru is a hard country to get messages to and out of.
Then why do they keep sending the brig there?
How'd they get Joe from the Amazon, which is like one country over?
Yeah,
they got a message to Joe in South America. Why couldn't they get a message to the brig in South America?
You're telling me that you can find her in the middle of some godforsaken jungle and she can hop a plane, 2 boats, and a cruise ship and something else to get here? But the brig, who's on a military
can't get a hold
base,
of the brig?
Okay, I didn't think about that.
They don't have a transmat beam to the moon at this point to bring back Shaun? No, but I'm glad you've said that now because you've now fixed that for me. The people in charge, the one particular
commander
that needs to be vetted better.
That was clever. Who wrote that?
I think that was Holly.
Holly.
Was that Holly or Kristen?
Yeah, that was very good.
She just didn't tell them. It's like, I didn't think of that. Now I have. Okay, fixed it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Now it's even higher up on the pinnacle.
They were just never apprised.
Yeah. So. As far as the regeneration fire, totally convinced now that I've seen it in context. Doctor's pulling his leg.
Yeah, and because there's also the line that he asks, "Are you always a white?" And the doctor says no. How many times can you change? 507. It's all just lies. Because now we know for sure that the doctor can change his skin color.
Yes.
Maybe not by choice, but it can happen. So that's my 2 cents on it.
Why do we know that?
River.
Oh, right.
Mel and
Yeah.
River.
Well, of course, that could still be Time Lady difference, but I agree with you. But
Because we knew that Time Ladies could change entire species.
No, that's true.
not necessarily. Maybe you can just choose to be blue. Anyway, just the fact that because the doctor's like, okay, we've got to get out of here. And Clyde's like, you've got to back up. Oh yeah. So then he's shuffling backwards, and Clyde's in his face. I
really like the line that Clyde gives of, "I thought your eyes would stay the same."
Yeah,
I thought that was.
too.
I never thought of that.
Yeah.
I kind of wish that there was a way they could make it so his eyes are always the same.
Yeah.
I think it'd just be a nice touch. That's how people can recognize who it's the doctor. It's his eyes.
I think people still can.
Well, people obviously still can because his
Time
eyes
Lords
change.
obviously can.
Yeah. I think you recognize somebody through their soul. And,
The gateway through the eye.
Yeah, eyes are the windows through which the soul looks out. I think that's very true. I think it's especially true in a Time Lord's case, in the Doctor's case. I think people look at him and
They can see the
figure it out. But yeah, now that I've seen it in context, I'm totally convinced that that's no. You don't get 500. Sorry, you don't get 507 generations. It's not happening. It's 13.
I never had a problem when the interwebs lit up with that whole
Regenegate.
debate. Yeah, Regenegate.
Oh, that was early on, wasn't it?
Well, in our conception.
In our run,
So are we
yeah.
on missing episode gate? Is that where we're at now?
Yes, that's what that is.
But yeah, the wonderful, wonderful. I liked the fact that we were without the sonic screwdriver.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh,
It's in the dark.
genius.
And that Sarah forgets hers at home.
Yeah.
She forgot her sonic lipstick at home.
No, she didn't.
No,
Did she?
she had
No,
it.
because
Did she have
that's
it?
how they used it to get back to the plane. 'Cause
Oh,
he
yeah, that's
he had
right,
to fix
that's right.
that. The
He
deal
had
that
to
they-
use hers.
Yeah,
But otherwise, it was
that's
sans
why he
sonic.
came down and then took them both back because
Poor Clyde. Space sick. Clyde shines in this season.
He
really
Not
does.
that I didn't like Clyde before,
he's
but
he's picking up the
really...
slack for Luke leaving, and it's not
Yeah,
that
it
he's
really
being
does.
Luke's character, but it gives him a chance.
It gives him a bigger
to really,
role.
Yeah, it
to
really
really be
does.
more Clyde, and I've always enjoyed Clyde from the beginning. So
Yeah,
Agreed.
I've really, really, really enjoyed
And
Clyde.
especially
this
the
season.
next two stories, I think he really starts to shine.
And then the
well, I like the little relationship thing there,
Development.
Twain with
Yep.
there as well. I like that.
oh, I lost it. I had it and it was gone. I even don't mind the plan that they're the Shaanxi plan. Thank you. That they're going to use this memory web. Apparently, this is a very fancy, very expensive, very high tech alien 3D printer,
Yes,
and that we're going to make a key. It's like you couldn't have just stole it when you locked him on a planet. You trapped the Doctor. You got him on a planet. You did all of that. You couldn't have just got the key from him. Okay, well, all right. I don't mind that this is the plan, and I kind of actually. I bought their justification
I bought
for
it
it.
as well.
Yeah.
That we're going to go off and we're going to stop people from dying because it's tragic and we don't like that. It's like, okay, you're misguided, but
Glenn, did you have a problem with the design?
of the
because they were
This game's-
anthropomorphized birds.
Vultures?
originally I did. This time I was fine with it because I was used to it. But
You know
yeah,
what
the
kind
first
of-
time that I watched this, I was like, oh, come
What kind of
on.
sells me on this? On the design and everything? David Bradley's performance. I thought he did a really good job as the voice.
Yeah, but that voice could have been really good out of any other design of Alien.
But it just
I
felt-
like the irony
it
of the
had to
fact.
be a
I
vulture.
appreciate the
It
irony
just-
of it.
It just felt right, that voice coming out of Vulture.
It didn't have to be a vulture.
It looked like a Skeksis with feathers.
It did. It did look like a Skeksis. I would have rather have been a Skeksis.
Well, they already showed up in Farscape, so
Well,
they did.
yeah, that's what I've heard. I haven't seen it, but that's what I've heard.
It took me a little bit. I'm going to jump ahead to the end. The very last reference of companions. Even though we just went through all this with Ace, I didn't make that connection until
Mel
later
didn't
that it was
either. I
Ace. I thought
explained it.
she was talking about Dodo.
Oh, Dorothy. Yeah.
I
Because that's
instinctively...
what she says is Dorothy.
Dorothy. And it wasn't until later I thought about it and realized A Charitable Earth. The initials is Ace.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't... Yeah. So I was kind of ashamed of myself that I didn't catch that reference.
Quite frankly, when I first saw it,
You didn't catch it either?
I didn't catch that it was Ace, even though I know
good.
that she's Dorothy.
Of course, I was getting pretty
McShane.
much fighting back tears from all the references at that point. So.
Yeah.
I like how Sarah Jane is at least somewhat familiar with all of these current probable companions, and that she's not investigated any of them. She's not looked any of them up, especially Ian and Barbara. The fact that they'd never aged,
Yeah.
and you didn't go look into that. But I don't know. Just I like the fact that they're married. That pleases me to no end.
It makes me think that Russell T Davies felt like he wanted to include some of that in his run of the series, and he couldn't. And so this was kind of a dropping zone for some of that information.
Yeah.
And the reference to Harry and the kind of implied that he passed away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we just watched him in Santorin. Yeah, it was good.
Anything else about the story? I mean, we could talk for hours about.
Do we know why the Doctor had a lead-lined coffin? Why they built him a lead coffin? I mean, obviously,
because it had to
survive
conceal
the
what was-
explosive
well, it had
blast
to,
at the
yeah,
end of the
conceal
thing.
what was inside as
It
well.
had to hide that there wasn't anything in there.
Yeah.
That it was empty.
So it would just block X-rays and.
Yeah, why not?
Okay, I'll buy
You
that.
never know what Sarah's going to bring with her. She does abscond with alien technology that she
Yeah,
picks
because
up.
her watch couldn't read through it, right?
Right, and her watch couldn't sense anything. Although her watch essentially just detects alien life, and there was all kinds of alien life.
Well, and see, the doctor makes through the door. He makes the comment. He says, "It's my funeral." Like, yeah, we don't. He says, "No, it's my funeral." And that's when they go, "Oh, the coffin." He goes, "Yeah." So it's like, is it standing orders that he is to be buried in a lead coffin? Does he know about that?
Because that's not what we got later.
No.
No, that's true.
Because it's burned his body.
We got a funeral pyre.
Which makes more sense because, as River says, it's single DNA of a Time Lord could change everything. Obviously.
Maybe there was like
well, the Scarcys were setting this whole thing up. Maybe they just use lead-line coffins always for everybody for some reason. Launch them into space or something.
Well, they're going to go,
deteriorate.
you know, they're going to shoot. Well, obviously, we're going to shoot him into space because we built a rocket for him too.
Right.
And then we're going to shoot him into the sun. And he'll
in a lead line coffin.
In a lead line coffin. Well, it'll still melt.
Yeah. Maybe lead melts better in the sun. I don't know.
I was just curious.
Maybe it's a better chance the body will get into the sun.
Not something that even piqued my interest of why would it be lead?
I just said that's convenient later.
That's so when the explosion goes off and the refrigerator flies across the desert, they survive.
Lead, it's good for you. Saving people's lives since whenever.
I don't know. There's one other thing I was going to say about this story, and I got to keep that in mind because something story? From this one will go along with the next story.
Right.
Okay.
Are you ready for the next one?
Yes.
Okay.
Make sure I remember which one this is.
The Empty Planet.
Yay! Okay, good.
Clyde and Ronnie wake up one day to discover that they are the only survivors of the human race. The whole of Earth is empty. Even Sarah Jane has vanished. But a deserted London holds terrors of its own. Strange forces lurk in the shadows as a mysterious visitors approach.
Dun, dun, dun!
Yeah.
Good.
I like
now,
this.
I
really like this one, too.
Now, we're on the slope down now.
Oh, yeah.
So.
We're still above the tree line, but we're...
Yeah.
And I like, honestly,
down the mountain.
I really like the first part better than the second part. Like I like the exploration of the two of them alone on the planets and trying to figure out what's going on more so than we figured out what's going on, we got to run to fix it. I just found it fascinating for some reason.
There's a certain amount of that I'll give you, but I think that's because we tend to like those post-apocalyptic stories where it's just one or two characters.
See, and that...
Once they kind of establish this is where we're going with it. I
don't know that I liked one better than the other. I liked them both equally because they were contrasting. Because we had
a good point. I did like the contrast.
Because we had that in the first one, and then we had a different flavor in the second one. And so I liked that. I thought that was cool.
And I like the reason why Clyde and Ronnie are stuck on Earth. That was a nice callback.
I got a problem that just hit me a little bit ago.
Is that what you were going to bring up?
Yeah.
Why did Clyde go to...
Why was Clyde able to go to...
the doctor circumvented it.
He displaced him, but now does that mean that if the Jadoon find out that he went off planet, he'll be terminated?
It's possible. Or the doctor was just able to circumvent and... The doctor's not following the rules.
Well, agreed. And even if the doctor's able to circumvent it...
these robots are following the rules.
But even though the doctor circumvented it, if the Jadoon find out, Clyde's at risk. Now, the doctor couldn't possibly have known that.
No.
But I agree with you. I didn't think anything about it when I watched this episode, and the explanation for why they were left was fantastic. I loved that. I thought, that's great. They harkened way back to that Jadoon episode where they actually got grounded. I thought, nice job. Nice touch, writing staff. You did a good job there. You did your own work. But now I'm like...
See, now I'm going to have a problem with this later. I can't talk about it because we're not to that episode yet, but I'm going to have a problem with it later.
Oh, see? Well, there you go.
We'll get there.
Okay. Anything else about the story? It's enjoyable.
I know what you're talking about.
He's ready to move on. He wants to
I don't know what you're talking about.
I thought it was an enjoyable story. I liked the exploration of Clyde and Ronnie. I liked the fact that we're kind of...
I still see them as kind of young kids, so it's kind of weird to me to see them kind of becoming romantically interested in each other. It makes sense, but it's kind of like Ron and Hermione slowly becoming... At first, it's weird.
Yeah.
It just doesn't seem like they're supposed to be this tall and no taller.
This is This is our Sarah Jane Light episode.
Yeah.
Very.
I'm still flabbergasted every time I see somebody do a post-apocalyptic movie that's set in present day where there are no people on the streets. I don't care if it's Times Square, New York, or
it didn't look
wherever
like this
we're
was
at, Elling.
It's eerie.
Ealing.
It's eerie.
It's just weird.
Yeah. It's really, really
that it's like, how
And I'm always impressed how they can clear it out.
We've closed down streets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not this successfully.
Yeah.
And we've closed down a deserted downtown on a weekend where there wouldn't be anybody down there anyway, and still didn't look this empty.
Right. Although we weren't intending to look empty. We were blocking it because we were running through streets.
We were running down the street. We didn't want
we
to
were
get run
controlling
over by a car.
our environment. We weren't necessarily completely.
But still, I don't think. Yeah, every time I see it, I am flabbergasted. It's just you walk down that street and there's nobody there. There's the cars and there's this and this, and you just kind of get that. Ooh, it's just weird.
Yeah.
So
hats
off to
the nice thing about it is there's the soundtrack, the music soundtrack.
The music on this is
absent.
really good.
It's absent
because it's absent.
Well, that's just it. It's there. It's there, but it's reserved.
Yeah.
And so the times that they're there in that empty earth, there's no music there either.
Yeah.
So it has that silence. It has that
It's effective use.
Yes,
of music.
exactly.
Yeah,
it's effective use of music, and they do that lends to the fact that it's eerie because no one's there. And
I liked the robots.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they were
mustard and ketchup.
And when he comes over to the table, it's like, I see what you did. Exceedingly poor design for I'm going to trap you and scan you and figure out what's going on, and then there's a little bit of canine going on here. It's like, okay, we're going to run, and we take off, and the robots are, and then we cut to the end of the block. And the robots are right behind them as they continue to run forward. And it's like, no.
They're not that fast.
They cut, stopped, everybody moved up. Okay, but that's okay. I like the robots. I liked Gavin. I didn't at first. I didn't think I was going to. But once the reveal came of how he fit into this is very much one of those, I don't know about you, as a 10, 13-year-old boy in your own head making up stories of why you're more important and cooler than you really have any reason to be. This is totally something I would have done as a kid. This is totally something that I would have imagined that, I'm just waiting for my real parents to send robots to come collect me.
I think why I don't like Gavin at first is because you're led to believe he's the bad guy. Yeah. You're led to believe that he's there because he is the one that is instigated it. Yeah. So, I agreed. I thought that's great. That's great misdirection.
I loved Clyde's...
I like the fact that I don't like him.
Yeah.
I loved Clyde's rationale and reasoning for figuring this out, that this isn't where he lives. Mm-hmm. There's no video games. Look at this place. There's no pictures of him with anybody.
Right.
And that's all very astute child logic, which I really appreciated. He wasn't coming.
It's something that an adult would overlook.
Exactly.
Yeah, it really is.
High marks for that. Well done.
I tell you, what I really, really like about this is the fact that they allow Clyde and Ronnie to give a reason for why they're capable of being on their own and doing this, and it kind of cheapens. I think it kind of cheapens something later on that we'll discuss as well. But although there's some influence there as well. But overall, it's we're certainly on the downhill slope. But this was a fantastic story.
I really enjoyed it. I sometimes get tired of the trope of a ring that can block mysterious technology. Mm-hmm. I'm not tired of it.
Yeah, we just watched. I just watched Runaway Bride with Caitlin, and she wears the ring that's the
yeah. It just feels so overused, and maybe that's coming off a stint of too much Lego Lord of the Rings.
Because you can be invisible,
which I completed.
Oh, you did?
I got it 100%.
Yay!
Anyways, back to the episode.
Yeah, the other thing that I liked was you mentioned the fact that we're given a reason for them to be on their own. Are you talking about just a justification plot-wise, or are you talking about the fact that as they're going through trying to figure out how come we got left, and they're rattling off this list of, well, maybe it's this. No, that doesn't apply. Well, we were in the TARDIS. Well, how come he's here? And doing all these things. I liked the fact that we stumbled through that.
Sure.
Because
that they didn't come to the
They come to a conclusion right away.
Because there's sometimes when you see a show and the way it's written, that they throw all these things, they throw all these ideas at you, and you as an audience member are screaming at the top of your lungs, "It's because of this," and you know why they're there. Mm-hmm. This is the reverse of Clyde knowing why he doesn't live here, that this isn't really where he belongs. That is an intuitive leap for him to make, and it fits in with his character and his age and everything. This is the reverse of that, where this is totally stuff that they would be methodically trying to figure out.
Yeah.
Even though, as the audience members, we're kind of suspecting it's probably because of the Jadoon, but that they've got to work, they've got to get to that.
I forgot about that until they mentioned
it. Really?
It too.
Yeah, but I love the fact that they've got to work it out to get to it, and then come to. I mean, because like I said, a lot of times they stumble through it, and you're just like, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. This it didn't feel that way. It flowed and it made sense, and I really liked the way this one was put together.
I like the fact that it proved that the two could work it out on their own. And it was,
and that's really where this episode is the strongest. Is the fact that the growth for the two characters, even more so.
All right. Well, what's next?
Lost in Time. A harmless investigation turns into an epic quest across time and space. Sarah Jane and the gang are separated by the enigmatic shopkeeper and find themselves in 3 different time zones throughout history, doing battle against ghost hunters, Nazis, Tudors, and a mysterious pirate called Captain.
Okay, I have 2 parts. Everything in this story gets dun dun dun, except for the plot.
The shopkeeper and
the shopkeeper and the reason we're going
after
after this key to time item that is never explained, other than it can unbalance everything.
Agreed.
And then not explain it.
And then him just run off with it. We don't know who this guy is. I assumed he was evil the entire time.
He's working for the parrot, though.
Well, okay,
I don't know
who the parrot is.
It's Captain Jack. He kept calling him Captain. I mean, come on. Where else did the guy get the time travel technology? I don't know.
That's my complaint with the story also, is
I don't know.
Is that idea.
Here's the thing, though. Every once in a while, I like to have that mysterious character that there's no reason for it other than to set up a really good plot. And I thought that's what this did.
I don't mind him being mysterious. I don't mind him running away at the end and being enigmatic and leaving us wondering. And I hope he does return. I don't think he will, but
he might. It might have been planned for him to return.
Yeah.
But I think
I like that
idea.
And if he were to show up in an episode of Doctor Who down the road, I'd be okay with that too. But the MacGuffin, why does this particular item upset the flow of time? Where did it come from? How did it get there? And why are you involved? I don't need to know who you are.
Why should we even trust you?
Why should we trust you? Why should we go after it?
Because even the key to time is explained, and the keys to Marinus are explained.
Yeah. That's the part of it that left me wanting. Everything else I was fine with. I loved the stories. I loved the time travel. I loved the eras that they went to. And I loved each individual story within it.
I liked how they worked things out and why they had to work things out.
Yeah.
And the objects that the things were hidden in were very logical.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, for this story, the star of it is Clyde.
Yes.
For some reason, I just loved Clyde in this story. He was so fantastic, so good, so strong.
So I thought they all shined.
They all did, but for some reason,
she shined
as
well.
I really attached to Clyde and was like, that's where I sat up.
Ronnie's got the most tragic story of the 3.
Yeah.
Because she befriends this girl who you can't help but know that she's going to her death.
Oh, yeah.
And she sticks by her side for so long. She could have just hightailed it out of there. Mm-hmm. And she stays by her side. She even had the dagger longer than anybody else found their materials, and she still stuck by her side. Yeah. That's incredible. That says a lot for Ronnie.
That really made me like Ronnie. I mean, she's been growing on me. This season especially, she's really... I don't miss Maria quite as much anymore. and I'm really starting to enjoy Ronnie. This one in particular was like, wow, sold it. Okay.
I really liked all of that, but part of me still screamed, you have the thing, go back. You're on a time crunch, go.
No, I can hang out.
I got time. It's only the universe ending. No big deal.
You want to play some Halo? Because apparently I can bring back a music box and leave my zippered jacket. None of that's going to make it. I have to go fetch this dagger because it could completely disrupt the flow of time. But I can leave all this other futuristic stuff laying around and nobody will notice.
Yeah.
my futuristic moccasins that say Nikkei on the side of them.
Eastwood Ravine.
I wasn't feeling the Sarah Jane story until they explained it.
Well, it's just
it was just a little.
That's
off.
the one that takes a long time to get to,
Yeah.
because we've got this mysterious ghost thing going on, and we're hearing voices, and all along I'm sitting there going, well, we know it's not really
we know where we're
ghosts.
sitting on
We
the
know-
side of this one.
you know, but you're going to lead us down that road, and you're going to try to convince me or make me think, oh, well, maybe it possibly is ghosts, because that's what you do when you do those kind of stories. But yeah, when it gets there, it's like, wow, okay,
Yeah.
that's cool.
And a little dark for a kid's show.
Yeah, I thought so,
mean,
too,
it's
yeah.
just not again, just the subject matter that we're dealing with.
Because we
was-
don't shield what happens to those kids,
No,
or what had happened to them,
what had happened. Yeah, and
or what will happen, because all
Or-
that's happening in the future, which I thought was a neat change of pace, is that
That
they're
was
getting
the nice
shadows
twist
of
I
the
really liked.
future instead of shadows of the past.
yes, I liked that. But
In
yeah,
fact, I think I would have been slightly disappointed if it was Shadows of the Past, because that's just then another explanation for another ghost story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
agreed.
no, Future Echoes was definitely way cooler. Didn't get any explanation as to why, but okay, it didn't matter. It was really well executed. And the fact that the key was a key.
I got the impression that it was because of the key.
Because of the key.
That's why
Yeah.
we were getting the echoes.
The key ended up in the wrong time.
Oh,
The key was out of time, so
I
that's
get
why,
it
yeah,
now.
that's why that
Okay.
was presented in such.
It wasn't
that
so
way.
much what happened; it was because the key was there when it happened.
Ah, all right. I'll buy that for $1. Yeah, that fixes that. Yeah, no, everything, and I really liked the Nazi episode. Knew the school teacher was in on it.
Yeah, I did too. It's when she rolls up and then she starts giving this. Things are they've already been
This cock
spotted
and bull
and
story
everything.
about everybody
right.
in town is. Yeah, really, right?
Yeah, I knew as soon as that happened, but that's
We've
okay.
only seen
'cause it's
2
still-
rubber rafts pull up on the shore, and
Right.
you got all of the town already. Okay, that didn't matter. It was still great.
Well, and let's go back. Shouldn't we wait then? If everybody's been alerted and they're on their way, shouldn't we just wait? No, we got to go make sure they don't escape or something. I remember when her reason for going back there was, and I thought, yeah, you're in cahoots.
I did like also at the very end, everyone reflecting on what they went through.
Yeah,
The granddaughter coming to finding Sarah Jane, very Blink-esque,
Yeah.
and then
I thought it was a little forced, but
it was a nice way to get
she
the
shows
key
up.
back.
The universe is ending, but she's still going to keep this date to show up at this curiosity
doesn't know the
show.
universe.
she doesn't know the
ending.
universe is ending. She just,
Everything outside was going. Yeah,
from inside.
okay.
We weren't outside. We don't know what it was really doing. We just know that the building was shaking.
Okay.
Which I can justify because that's the center of
But
the
she came in
time
as the
window.
building was shaking. I think
Yeah.
I'd have walked in and turned around and walked out.
Who knows what kind of stories her grandmother told her.
I'd have walked in and go, "This is the place."
But yes,
and then
in
Clyde
fact,
looking up on the internet.
Doctor Who and Torchwood both have done that.
Yeah.
The linear thing where
Yeah.
you go back and then we have to wait for the
folding back.
process the
The Marty McFly.
exactly.
And then Clyde looking up the soldier.
Actually, it's more Bill and Ted.
It's more Bill and Ted. Yeah, it's very Bill and Ted.
Make sure we leave the keys here. So.
Yeah.
Remember a trash can. No, I like this one a lot, except for the plot. All right.
I'd almost expected George to be somebody.
Yeah, I thought they were leading us down that road when he's talking to him about don't sign up, don't do this, just trust me, it's not worth it. I really thought we were going down this road where George was going to turn out to be, it's George, it's that George, and I couldn't think of any famous English Georges.
George Harrison.
Oh, that would
He
be
didn't
good.
fight in the war, so he came up. No, I guess he would have been
He would have been too young.
Two.
then.
way too young.
Yeah.
Not two, but
He would have been young. Well, he was only 17 when the Beatles formed, so he would have been born right after World War II.
Really young. Then.
Right. He'd have been Yeah, he'd been part of that baby boomer generation.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. He'd been born in the late 40s. So, yeah. It would have been right after the war.
Anyway.
Anything else about the story? Or should we move on to the finale?
So. Let's move on. No more with the penultimate episode.
Yes.
Now we'll move on to the
finale. Story.
Story.
Because I'm giving the synopses for the penultimate episode of the season.
Yeah, that's true.
Sarah Jane faces her saddest day as she realizes that no one can defend the Earth forever. She's saved the world so many times, but must now hand over the task to safer hands. Clyde and Ronnie are distraught, and the forces of darkness gather as the inevitable day approaches.
I haven't made up my mind on this one yet.
I want to horn this one. I really do.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't like it that much. I didn't dislike it that much.
I didn't dislike it that much, but what I'm getting tired of...
I don't think I disliked it.
...is this trope in Sarah Jane Adventures of trying to replace Sarah Jane or something to make her go away.
Yeah.
I'm tired of it.
Yeah.
Every season we have a story.
That's kind of
that was my number one big problem going into this. It's like been there, done that.
Now, how it's done, I liked it better than others.
Well, and
I thought Ruby was a very interesting exploration.
This is the first one of those attempts that does not involve the trickster.
It's true.
Maybe I would have liked it more if it was a trickster. Because I always liked the trickster.
Well, because that's his M.O. It would have been more acceptable, but...
and it wasn't
strange alien.
It wasn't a giant
looks
stomach.
Like a human with a giant stomach.
The actress did a fine job.
Yeah.
I thought
she was very Sarah Jane.
She was no Mona Lisa.
The Mona Lisa, the Merca, the Sarah Jane Adventures, but not good enough to be a mascot.
The only good parts of this is when Luke shows up. From then on, in K9.
I disagree.
On,
I disagree with you there. I love Elizabeth Sladen's acting, which I think
no,
I think it's good throughout all this.
No. Way too over the top, because she's proven how wonderful an actress she is in that first story with the Jadoon in
Angervax.
Where she's possessed.
Where she's possessed.
Yes.
Fantastic. And then does it again in this one with Angervax. And she does that wonderful job portraying the older version of herself that's not quite, the fake older version of herself. She's fantastic in that. This is what? I mean, it's so
no.
It
builds to that. It builds to that.
It doesn't, because it's like she's being influenced by, what was her name?
Ruby.
She's being influenced by Ruby. So it's the only thing that I can go, okay, that's the reason why she's being so flighty, and she's overflaking it from the beginning.
I don't think so.
I understand
when she's walking,
getting into the flakiness, but she's overflaking it to begin with.
No, when she's walking down the street and I've just got to put the T on for Luke and Ozzy back, and then the realization hits that
that was kind of tough to watch.
It was tough to watch, and it's because it's so well played. The little memory moments. Where it starts off and you think maybe it's just because she's on her back foot because of this person, like forgetting to put the car brake on and that kind of stuff.
Which is where they're trying to go with it, and I understand that.
There's that. And as it progressed, I think she did a wonderful job. Now, once she got fully, I'm turning into a blubbering idiot, then yes, I agree with you. It was maybe a little over the top.
And that's where I think it was the worst.
And I think that was also maybe done on purpose from both a writing and performance standpoint to let the kids know that it's okay because something's behind this. That's, as a children's show, that's the tell.
I can see that.
You can't go completely off in this direction and just leave.
Right.
Because that would be devastating.
Sure.
But there was so much of this, I was uncomfortable watching. And even Mel leaned over to me at one point and she said, did they know what was happening when they put this one together? Did they know she was sick? And I said, no. She goes,
she did, but they didn't.
She did.
Well, yeah. And Mel said, wow. Because even she picked up on it, that it was just, like I said, it was just, there was a lot of I'm really uncomfortable right now with how. Now, obviously, it's looking back now, but it just in hindsight with where this is going. But I think all of that was very, very well done on her part up until the end when she, and at that point it was okay that she was mentally gone.
I'll give you the forgetting that Luke was at uni. That was okay. It didn't bother me so much, but it was the whole the looks over when Ruby's talking to the kids and the kids are all panda eyes up to her and Ruby, you're so cool. I'm glad you're part of the game. And that was very overacted on their part. Written wise, and what they were doing is they were rushing this along because you only have so much time.
You only have so much time.
I understand.
And I think more than anything, it was overacted on the kids' parts about how much they loved her.
Was the body language I felt was overacted there with her when she's, feeling bad because she's just losing this. And no, I'm sorry, it started ramping up to silly and overacting very early. So I
loved Clyde, that he reacted exactly how I predicted Clyde would react.
I would agree with that.
Screw this noise, I don't believe you, and I'm going to go find out what's going on. Right. And I was like, go Clyde, I liked that Ronnie was shaken and upset, and that Clyde then turns on her because of his dad leaving, which I wouldn't have... I was like, I forgot about that. That totally makes sense that he'd be really... shaken by this. And then
that's one thing we didn't talk about was Clyde's reaction to Luke leaving, which I thought was very fitting, and calling back to his dad leaving also.
That he's having a rough time of it this season for sure. And Ronnie goes home, and Geeta says and does the first intelligent,
that was
heartwarming, character building moment that she has on
Geeta
the
was
show.
Fantastic there. She was fantastic.
Absolutely. And she made me like her. It's been 3 seasons, and it took this when she basically says, "You're being silly. Sarah Jane wouldn't do that."
Yeah. No, I
that okay. You're back.
I already didn't have a problem with her, but I loved that moment.
So
I thought that was very...
That's how strongly I felt about that moment. It's like you're back in the band.
Very good character moment.
I liked Mr. White with the idea of,
being a game console. That she rewired. Yeah, I mean, I appreciate the idea.
I don't understand why she had a game console in prison, but,
she's going to be there for a while. I guess they were giving her something to do.
Now,
it's like weights for prison content.
And then, of course, the end. When I agree with you. When Luke comes back, I think it gets even better. I think that's that Luke shows up and you rushed off to go save your mom and didn't bring the dog?
Yeah, I thought the same thing.
What?
Here's the weird thing about this is the episode still feels like... What's the actor's name that plays Luke? You said it just earlier. It feels like he... isn't there.
Thomas Knight.
It feels like Thomas Knight isn't there shooting his scenes with anybody but Ronnie in that house for the longest time, because they spend so much time in that house over the computer with K9 trying to and there's this moment where I thought, I wonder if they just took Ronnie, whatever her real name is, to where he was because he was off doing something and shot his stuff there, because then it's not till the very end when he shows up, and then it's weird camera shots from behind, like maybe they used a different actor, and then from the front it's just a shot of him. There was something weird there that doesn't affect the story itself, but just took me out of the story a little bit, going, well, you're trying really hard to kind of make it look like he's there, but he's just kind of felt like he wasn't. So I don't know if that was really the case. Now, clearly he was there at the very end, because then we do start getting the 4 shots at the very, very end of all of them together. But there was just a lot of time where I thought, it's like they had to shoot it this way because you couldn't use Skype now. Although they did it with K9, but you can't use Skype now because his mom is, missing, is gone.
Yeah.
So you can't have him at school still trying. Well, did you try calling? He would have left and came there to figure it out. But it was just really weirdly shot until the very end, I thought. But I loved the as somebody stated before, the fact that K9 just chides in, because K9 really he's never felt like, he's always been the servant, even for all of the kids. The kids say K9 do this, he does it. K9 jump, he jumps. But being that assertive, almost nanny there for a minute when
Luke and Ronnie are fighting,
going at it, and he's kind of snaps at him, and I was like, wow, you go K9. Put it in perspective.
Yeah.
That was cool. But yeah, doing most of that over the internet was kind of weird. Why didn't you bring the dog?
Yeah.
You jumped in the car and flew down here at a moment's notice anyway.
Yeah.
Bring the dog. You're going to need him. You're going to, I don't know. I thought that was really
Bring
weird.
your supercomputer
Yes!
home.
You don't leave the laptop in the locker. Just not things that are done. My problems from this stem from what you said, Keith, about, okay, been there, done that, quit trying to get rid of Sarah Jane.
Well, I think my bigger problem is most of this season, aside from the first story, is really strong, especially for Sarah Jane Adventures. It's just pretty good. It's good television. This returns the status quo for Sarah Jane Adventures.
Yeah.
It's good for Sarah Jane.
I
I think it's better than some of the Sarah Jane Adventures, but it's not as good as what the rest of the season was.
Yeah. And I, I didn't like Ruby, and even when she tries warming up, and I was such a, here, is the handshake still available? It's kind of like, we don't trust you now.
Well, that was another thing that I didn't care too much for, and again, it's the pace at which you have to do the story. Is she's real standoffish, and then she turns real quick, and it makes sense for the story, but it was just.
And how quickly does Sarah Jane just, okay, yeah, come up. Here's my attic. Investigate my...
It just really felt rushed.
Here's all of this stuff.
That was a big issue with the story.
And then...
I did like the twist that the meteor that they took care of was all created by her.
Yeah, that was clever.
Cool.
But then when she does get it and she's like, you're right, I can't fight everything forever. I don't expect you to, take over for me. Well, okay, I can almost see that happening. Here's Mr. Smith. Here's my house.
But
what?
Again, a lot of that was the influence that she was...
Yeah,
I know that, but that just seemed... Where are you going to live? Forget giving her the supercomputer in the attic. You are giving up your home.
I thought to myself, she has her own home. Just Sarah, stay at home and be Professor X.
Maybe Sarah was going to go down and live in Ruby's house.
We'll swap houses. But then okay, and so here's now the third strike against Mr. Smith.
Yeah.
Delete me from the registry. Are you sure? Yes. Okay. What? You are... I have met supercomputers, sir, and you are no supercomputer.
Well, here's the thing is, I mean, if Windows can ask me 5 times if I'm sure that I want to do something, you think Mr. Smith could do it at least twice.
Yes.
But here's the thing is, part of me can forgive that because I'm sure they put in super protocols when they reprogrammed him to shut him down immediately.
Okay.
She does mention
give him a lot of power.
Protocol blank.
Give her a lot of power.
Okay.
Yeah. So because he acted the way he did before, I could see them giving just, you can't question anything that I tell you as long as I give you the right keyword.
Okay.
The right protocol code, yeah. Because I kind of thought that too.
Interesting bit of production notes. Writers Gareth Roberts and Clayton Hickman wrote Goodbye Sarah Jane Smith as a replacement from their earlier attempt at a sequel to the Doctor Who story Planet of the Spiders, which featured Sarah Jane Smith.
Yeah.
Roberts and Hickman were signed to the Spiders sequel after he was previously signed a different writer to it. Script editor Gary Russell couldn't make it work. Roberts and Hickman could not make the Spiders sequel work either. They then replaced it with Goodbye Sarah Jane Smith. They did, however, use one element from the Spider sequel outlines. That was of Sarah Jane's tiredness and forgetfulness. This was also the last episode to air before the death of Elizabeth Sladen.
And as of August this year, it's the last story of any media feature K9 Mark IV.
Oh, he's not going to show up in the 5?
Apparently not.
Aww.
I know. But Luke does. Doesn't he?
Yes.
He's on the box art.
I think he came back predominantly for the 3 episodes that they made.
Really?
So, yeah, I think, if I remember right.
And they introduce a new character, though, don't they?
I don't know. Like I said,
Anything else about this?
I'm still torn on it because there are moments of it that I really liked, and I thought it was a strong season ender. And then there are other things that I was just I
wish I could think it was strong, but it was weaker than the first episode for me.
Now, here's the problem.
I don't know if it was that for me.
I really thought for sure that Miss Smarty Pants Ruby White sealed her own fate when she shipped Luke up to the spaceship. Or Clyde.
You thought she what?
She sealed her own fate.
Oh.
Because she zaps Clyde up to the spaceship, and it's like, you just, hang out here, and I'm going to go ruin everything. And she zips away, and it's like, ha ha ha, joke's on you, because he's not supposed to leave the planet, and any minute now, the Jadoon are going to come kicking down your door. And they didn't show up.
Yeah. Well, he'd already left once, and they didn't come knocking on the door.
Well, so. And it's funny because you pointed
already
that
kind
out.
of proven that the Jadoon aren't that great of a police force.
Yeah, apparently not. But you pointed that out earlier, and I didn't even think of that. And it was like, I was all set to jump all over it when she did it, but when the doctor does it, it's fine. I don't know what that says, but...
Well, it felt more obvious like he was in space in this than the death of the doctor.
Yeah, okay.
Oh,
wait a minute.
Wait. Maybe that's
they
it.
make reference to it's an alien
He's
planet.
still in Earth orbit for this one, so grounded isn't literal. It's just you can't go away from Earth.
No.
But in Death of the Doctor, he's billions of miles away on another planet.
But maybe that's the trick, though. Maybe it's grounded as in space flight, not transmat.
No, and it wasn't even transmat. It was body swap or something.
Whatever they did that he, I could see that being a viable loophole. That again, not knowing how the Jadoon have this law written. what is the language of the parking ticket? I could see that because before it was travel by spaceship, which is what he was doing. Which is when they went, no, you can't do that. Okay, but transmat beam zapping off to this other planet maybe flew under the radar of, well, that's still not what we meant, but I can't enforce that.
So the Shadow Proclamation would have just overlooked that one, I suppose.
Probably. But him being in orbit, that's against the rules. Here they come, right? Any moment now. Sarah Jane's locked in a basement with a killer stomach. Okay.
So much better of an ending to this story if the Jadoon had come and saved the day. That would have been awesome.
That actually would have been kind of cool.
Wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And so I was like, ha-ha, figured it out. Any minute now. There's going to be a rumbling noise and some marching, and everybody's going to get that, oh, what's going on, look? And I'm standing on the couch going, I know what's going on! And they didn't show up.
Oh. Yeah, that would have been so much better. I would have probably enjoyed this episode a lot more.
No space rhinos. Why? Why did they not show up? Grr.
Yeah, everybody else makes recurring appearances. Why doesn't the Genome come
They
back?
brought everybody back in season 4. Why not the... Yeah. They even at least had a cameo. The Trickster didn't get a cameo on this one.
That's true.
That's flashbacks.
I don't know.
All right, well...
So there's that.
Overall, though, I think this is the best series.
Agreed.
Of the
what I've
series.
seen.
Yeah, I think this is the best season of the series so far. It's a shame that we're only going to get 3 stories.
It's a really tough toss-up because I think there have been stronger episodes in some of the previous seasons, but I think you're right. I think this is one of those overall, I think the quality of this...
Each season has had strong episodes.
Yeah.
But not near as many as this one does. I think this one runs a whole game.
This one did not have as much up and downs as some of the others. But
all right. We're running up on 3 hours, so let's go ahead and move on to what's next on the schedule.
Well, coming up next on the schedule for Friday Night Who this week on the 23rd of August, we're doing The Green Death. It's third Dr. John Pertwee, companion Joe Grant. However, we're doing the first 3 parts because it's a long one.
So we won't be talking about it next week.
Instead, we return back to our 7th Doctor Month celebrations. We'll be talking the Doctor Revisited for the 7th Doctor, and have our 50th anniversary discussion of his era. And I just realized I don't have a poll up yet because Facebook won't let us do that. So we probably ought to throw something together and allow people to vote.
We'll just put something on our website and direct people there.
I will let you be in charge of that.
I'll see if I can do it.
There you go. So give us your thoughts on Seventh Doctor's choice. And then we'll finish up the Green Death the following week and review the Green Death. And probably have a lot of tie-in with Death of the Doctor, so that the Green Death of the Doctor is your episode title. Just so that we can kind of finish off Joe Grant's story arc. And then... I'm not going to tell you. It's a surprise. It's 11 weeks for 11 Doctors. Come on. There's no surprise here. We're counting down. We're going to launch the countdown, and we're going backwards. So we're going to start with a Matt Smith, and then a David Tennant, and then a Chris Rickson, and go on down the line.
I wonder what we're going to do for 8.
Could be Doctor Who the movie. Maybe.
Could be.
Ooh. No. I had a thought. I'm not going there. But then that's all going to progressively. But we thought everybody's counting up. Everybody's counting up. We're going to count down.
Yeah.
And then we'll wind up with a William Hartnell episode for Friday Night Who the week of the anniversary, which is only fitting in my mind.
Totally makes sense.
And then we'll watch that and stuff. And
That and stuff.
What can I tell you about
that
this?
Stuff and things.
We'll have stuff and things. There will be things and stuff. Of course, we're going to have our 8th Doctor, anniversary episode, and probably some big finish during that. We'll talk about the 9th Doctor and maybe a book review during that.
And a review from my daughter.
A review.
We're going to record her 9th Doctor review, and we'll run it in the month that we review the 9th Doctor.
Excellent.
Bring it on. So,
hopefully she'll remember some of those episodes.
You can prod her.
I will.
So there's that.
All right. Is there anything else we need to discuss before we sign out of here?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, if that's going to do it for this week, until next week, I'm Glenn.
I'm Shaun.
I'm Keith.
Cheers.
Remember, have your pets taken away from your mom.
Be seen.
You have been listening to Traveling the Vortex. Doctor Who and all of its associated programs are owned and trademarked by the BBC. No infringement is intended or implied.